welcome to the show. You look incredible, like a dessert that owns a yacht.
That's exactly the vibe I was going for. You know, sweet but slightly out of your tax bracket.
Mission accomplished. How does one even shop for a suit when you're...
Gold on my neck, gold on my hand, purple with the stripes, that's the walk of a man. Sidewalk shining, city lights humming, every step I take, they know a boss is coming.
Is that a poppy seed? You realize I'm your P.O., right? Straight to booking!
Police or zombie problems? Your tortoise won't stop breakdancing?
Try blue tape.
The miracle of our age. Yeah!
Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUY. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a man.
You know what? I talk to your mayor.
She on the timeline, typing like a toxic. Gossip in the coffee, lies in her pocket. He in a cheap suit, briefcase, cheap grin. Thinking bar exam means he gon' always win. They filed and fumble, every case crumble. Judge side eye, watching every word tumble. Perjury perfume, they wear it like cologne. Trying to burn a kingdom from a glass stone home. You get sued, then you lose, then you do it again. Same script, same scam, you just repress sin. You toss mud, spread names, think the truth won't bite. But the record, don't forget you, it's in black and white. You get sued, then you lose, then you do it again. Whole world taking notes every time you pretend. You toss mud, spread names, think the truth won't bend.
The cycle that you love gon' be your end.
He whisper, I'm the lawyer, like that's holy armor. But every filing reading like a bad soap opera. She pointing at the mirror saying, look, that's a monster. But the face look back and it sure look conscious. Mirror on the live stream claiming they the wounded. Timeline receipts, every live time stamp zoomed in. You swing at a critic, think he just a guy online. Now your false words sitting in a sworn headline. Lose and you do it again. Same script, same scam, you just repress sin. You toss mud, spread names, think the truth won't bite. But the record, don't forget you, it's in black and white. You get sued and you lose and you do it again. Whole world taking notes every time you pretend. You toss mud, spread names, think the truth won't bend.
The cycle that you love gon' be your end.
How many doctors? How many doctors? How many wins end up as costs? How many victims you invent overnight? How many times can you lie on mic? You get sued and you lose and you do it again. Same script, same scam, you just repress sin. You toss mud, spread names, think the truth won't bite. But the record, don't forget you, it's in black and white. You get sued and you lose and you do it again. Whole world taking notes every time you pretend. You toss mud, spread names, think the truth won't bend. Last page of your story say, this is the end.
What's up, folks? How's it going today? Man, how you folks doing? Early live stream as always on a Sunday. Plus, it is a it is a Super Bowl Sunday, so we'll see We actually have much better numbers than I thought we would on a Super Bowl Sunday. I typically don't stream on a Super Bowl Sunday, but I just, as I get older, I don't really care about football as much, So I was like, what could we do? Well, we could talk about some crazy stuff that has popped up over the last, well, I'm going to say the last 12 hours. you have some really crazy things that are popping up with the bankruptcy. The whole bankruptcy mailing thing is starting to get a little wilder. I talked to Travis. I wanted to make sure that my assertions were right on what he was discussing there. His reactions about how he seems stunned. Sure enough, document 93, which I'll show you all of this in a minute, but document 93, that is his first document that he has been mailed. He has received, despite all the claims about mailing, all the claims that are noted to the court, which can be a really big problem, by the way. If you're telling the court that you're mailing out stuff, that you're doing all of these good faith efforts, and yet the people that you're putting in claims against, they don't actually end up getting something, that can be a really, really big problem. I mean, that's the kind of well, I didn't just mess up, but I could actually void anything that goes well for me. I didn't just talk, by the way, to Travis. I actually received communication from another creditor that noted how even as early as trespass 5 items, that they were not receiving any type of communications. Like they have multiple people that there's a reason why with some of this too, potentially, because they're gaming. They're trying to game that system. And even if they're mailing out things, that the way that they're doing it, well, might not exactly be correct. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some more stuff with the bankruptcy mess. We'll talk about the stream that got ghosted last night, whether accidentally or intentionally. I love how stuff disappears over there, and they're like, nobody will ever see it. And it's like, yeah, about that, we do have the transcript already. So it's not like it even slightly inconveniences us where they end up ghosting something. Maybe when you accidentally, what's funny is it looks like what they tried to do last night. So they had a stream last night where some pretty nasty stuff was brought up. According to, here, let me pull this up actually. Give me 1 second. Instead of just paraphrasing or anything, I think I watch so you don't have to. Their breakdown gives you a little bit more on what, they tried to damage control with this too, because they know that saying certain things are very stupid, and yet they don't take that into everything they do. Give me 1 second. I got to grab a device. 1 minute. I got to grab my transcript device. I think I left it across the room. Yeah, it is. Give me 1 second. I'm just grabbing this. Didn't take very long. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I pull up all the transcripts. I pull them up on a carry device. It's funny for Christmas, when sent over stuff, people are like, yeah, get something that you really want, and it's a work item. I was like, well, I want something I can carry and mark on transcripts with. So, but I'll the reason I like doing that is because I can leave it across the, I can pull it up and be away from a desktop or a laptop and do whatever. So check this out here. I want to start with this before I really get into anything else. So we've got, whoops, that's, give me a second. That's not the right one. Let me roll down. There's a lot of these, by the way. There's a lot of crazy that keeps popping up with that. Here it is. It didn't roll. It didn't load correctly. I had to reload it. That's weird. You have to watch Facebook with that, by the way, folks. If you know that you're looking for something, make sure that it brings up everything. So, by the way, you notice the well, it seems the flea deleted her video. Now, I'm curious, like I said, if the deletion were an accident and they were trying to delete so much of the video and they ended up ghosting the whole damn thing by accident, all but like 43 seconds. And again, that hasn't slowed anybody down at all as far as pulling transcripts. Like I said, we managed to pull up all this stuff and pretty simply. It's not even work at this point. I mean, that's the funniest thing. They think that turning off transcripts for again, it hurts people that they have that might have some kind of issue, where they need closed captions or something. It hurts that playback. So they only hurt their audience. But why do they care, right? I mean, most of us by now, if we want transcripts, we don't just want a transcript. We want it saved with something. And we also use something that will end up, let's just say we end up with a copy of live streams when they happen too. So they, even if they ghost the original thing, you notice even with it gone, we still end up with not a 43-second transcript, but the whole thing. So at about 1:30 a.m. or so, the flea begins to read a troubling message that she received from, let's just say, an account. Okay. I could see the Adam, The sender was assumed to be a What the Hell's follower who is reporting that, again, now this is not real, by the way. This is the reason I think they ghosted their stream last night, because this person writes, and yeah, I don't think they're a Hale supporter. I think this is yet another one of their loonies over there proposing some kind of crazed conspiracy, because they reported that, again, apologies for saying this way, but Jeremy's son was in a troubling and violent bang bang episode with two FBI agents at the house of WTH's ex-wife. Again, none of this is real, where two people got bang banged and died. The message blamed the incident on everyone in the ecosystem because they are consistent in inciting violence against What the Hales. Now, the flea started reading the comment she had screenshot, not read, but yet posted it on screen for everyone to read. Now, this is where she gets in a problem, because she tried to ghost the evidence of this. I mean, that is a major allegation. Now, she does damage control after this. She's like, oh my God, that's the bad, I gotta delete that. But, she went as far as to screenshot it. She thought it'd be a good idea to put it up there. And then, no. I mean, you think about that. That is insane. That is insane. Yeah. Exactly. 1 minute there. I saw a comment about somebody talking about, were they laughing about it and stuff? Yes. Yes, they were. They always think all of this it's all fun. It's all fun for the, for just the false message. You got to be real careful. They're in the middle of a lawsuit, right? It's not like just a regular person out there. They are in the middle of a lawsuit in which they are accused of doing some pretty heinous things, and we've seen evidence of them going after platforms. And I'm not just saying, oh, I'm mad about YouTube, therefore I'm going to try to take you down. No, they've gone after Whatnot. They've gone after the advertisers. They bragged about it, and then now say they didn't, but too late for that. They already bragged about it. But still, you've seen these allegations play out, and you would think you wouldn't want to load that up. But then again, it's just kind of like lips and chips last night. They had on paint chips, which is dumb by itself because that can get you banned very well. But he decided to pull up the revenge prawn stills. He decided to pull them up behind himself. He thought that would be great. And they thought it would be a good idea for Lips and her lawyer husband to do this stuff. So yet another. Some days I'm like, you've got to be kidding. All these people, you have got to be kidding me. It's like, at what cost? At what cost are you willing? Yeah, you can grab a few bucks, maybe get monetized, but at what cost? You know, don't have any faith in the Right Michael cooking shows. I mean, really. Oh my God. But anyway. The police started reading the comment, you know, and reading that she'd screenshot, quote unquote, not read, but still posted. The comment was actually made on one of her posts on YouTube and not the ongoing stream. The flea reported that this person also posted twice on old Papa Ray's videos, but she didn't show those on the screenshot. After starting to read it, then the flea, of course, reverses off because maybe 2 brain cells actually sparked in the moment. It's like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't read this. But actually condemned it as hateful words, probably because as part of it, it blamed them for incitement. And also said, oh, I'm going to report this to the authorities and the FBI. These people have done so many horrible things, you know. But I think this part now, because here, you know, the flea let everyone know that her replay of the stream would be missing any chat, as she was going to edit the stream to remove the comment shown. Like she doesn't pull the chat anyway, typically. Are you kidding me? Unfortunately, it looks, again, to her as she removed everything except a small clip in which she discussed the words written as of 6 a.m. And unless they fix something, let me look right now because I haven't looked in the last hour, but it was a 43-second stream. Let's see if it's still there. Yeah, it's still showing as a 43-second stream, which by the way, Fats, that will destroy you in the algorithm. You may get more views because people are like, oh, I can watch 43 seconds. But when they go and they see that really hurts you in the algorithm. I mean, badly. So that's a really dumb thing. Then, of course, they spend a lot of time, you know, talking smack about Rosalind Duke. They talk smack about Tina, of course, which we'll talk about some of that in a little bit. But the 43-second thing, it's kind of funny, you know, but it also, like I said, I'm at the point where I wonder, it could go either way. It could be a oopsie, or it could be a, well, let's take everything down, but it's a strange one regardless. Now, let's go over, I want to show you. So Travis, the document that he was showing, you know, I wanted to see exactly what he had. So I did ask him, let's go to this subject real quick. I did ask him to see what document that he had been sent. Because again, Travis, it's interesting. Travis had no idea what the document was that he was being sent. Like here, okay, I've even though I don't have to, I took out the last 4 of the social, even though it is part of you know, the ongoing filings. Every filing is up there, you know, But Travis actually thought that these people might be trying to sue him again. That's right. He thought that this, and I'm not making fun of it when I say this, I want to make this clear. It tells me something right off the bat. He thought when he got it that she had gone the trespass 5 route, and that she finally had gotten around to sending him something, because she didn't before. Like I've said before, I'd talked to Travis when trespass 5 was just lingering out there and nobody had any answers to it. I was curious. I was like, what if Travis has heard anything? So I reached out, I made contact with him. I wanted to know, hey, have you heard anything about this? And that's when I found out, served. I mean, he had no idea that there was a lawsuit. They never even, it's not like he conceals where he is or anything. It's not like he's hiding out. So he's pretty easy to find. And yet they never even bothered to try to serve Travis. So, when they sit around, and they talk a lot, by the way, in the ecosystem about these cases. And they talk about people like DJ Radis. They're like, oh, DJ Radis, he tried to dodge it. Well, you know what? Reality is they didn't try to pursue. They let them sit long enough that people did, depending on the person, they had to expend money. You had the Grangers that were in it for a tidy little sum, but they went way past the safe harbor time, but they never really, it looks like, intended to pursue. It makes it look like one hell of a fraudulent case is what it does, which in the bankruptcy world makes it willful, very, very willful. But here you can see the document that he sent. It's talking about there's a non-evidentiary hearing. It's coming up about the debtor's motion for damages for creditor misconduct. And to make this clear, which I think is just nuts when you consider this, we're not talking about early documentation in this case. We are talking about document 93. So think about this. Travis is listed as a creditor. There have been, at minimum, I went and asked about this because I could not remember, and I wanted kind of a fast lay of the land, as it were, about how many creditor meetings there were. There have been at minimum 4. Travis has not been told about any of these. He has not had the good faith efforts toward Kim or toward other people to mail this stuff. Now, the interesting thing about this is when you start looking at the way some of this stuff is filed, you'll notice certain names are actually wrong. You'll notice also that when it comes to people's addresses, they're mailing to a physical property. They're again, you may not see that because we redact all of those addresses, but when they're mailing specific people, they're mailing a property out there. Now, I talked to someone else about this. They had communications with me as well, and I thought they had some pretty good insight into this. I had asked if they had also ever received anything, and then they're like, no, there had never been one piece of mail that they had been served. Now, on top of that, they played the same game with the Trespass 5. Other people that were involved in the Trespass 5, which, they're trying to write off their liability to these people. Actually, there's a good post talking about liability, and I think the absurdity to some of the ways they've tried to do this, especially future claims. Oh, wait, I've got a little one. What's up, girl?
What's up?
Yeah, she was asleep over here in a chair. You were sleeping it up, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It is late. You're finally getting motivated to wake back up again?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to go back to sleep.
Yeah, well, it is. What did I say that we needed to do today? Cleaning day.
But it's night.
No, it's not night. First of all, it is still day,
But
and
why does
because I have all of that covered, so you can't see out of it. Yeah, exactly. It is not. It is not. I like how somebody's tries to play the whole. No. It's actually not day anymore. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really matter when people say that, by the way. But okay. She's so funny. You're funny. All right. Well, hey, go upstairs and go. You can go watch some television. It is kind of a lazy Sunday afternoon, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
just sleep a lot.
Yeah, you got you some nap there. All right. Well, take your stuff upstairs if you want to. Okay.
I want to bought my phone.
Yeah. But you go have fun.
My phone.
Yeah. I know.
5%.
Oh man, are you? He asked. People wanted to know: are you limpy today again? Is your leg injured? You can't clean? Oh man, she's limping again. Oh no. Oh my goodness, it's bad. It's very bad, apparently. You know. All right. Well, hey, go do your thing. Okay.
My phone's at 5%.
At 5%. Oh man, you know
Look,
what?
my phone's at 5%.
Oh yeah, it's 5%. Let me see. Okay, you want me to plug it up? Well, you go watch your thing for a little bit. Okay. Go do your thing. Go have fun.
I will.
All right. Love you. Go have your fun. Go have your fun, Limpopotamus.
Don't call me native.
No, go have fun, okay? Love you.
Love you too.
All right. All right, give me a second. I'm going to fire this back. Hey, you go upstairs there. There you go. Be careful. Love you. Close that door when you go up.
Okay.
She got to sleep down here again, you know, took him down, sleep, and then wake up and take a nap. She was like, I'm taking a nap. I'm tired. I was like, all right, whatever. So, as I was saying before, you know, this has been going on for months now. We're talking about something that has been going on for quite some time. And yet, when you look at this, ooh, what is this? C'est la vie. What is this? We have a new document hitting. What is this? Let me look. Let me look. Let me look. Let me do my job here. Give me 1 second. I'm taking a little gander at this. Okay. 1 minute. There is a response filing to one paint chips. Fun times. I'm looking it over real quick. Man, so there's a lot of documentation to it too. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to see if everything is with it. 1 minute. Let me do something real quick here. Yeah. 1 second. It's the main. Just 1 second. I'm trying to find something. But I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to find one thing. I was going to show it to you. There's a bunch of exhibits to this thing. So it's apparently the response to paint chips has been filed. It's gone in, which like I said, is pretty interesting. I'm looking to see exactly what's there, though, because there is a lot of redaction to do off of that. But it is it's one heck of a call out. Oh my goodness! You know what's amazing about some of this wonderful call out here is the fact that it uses a lot of Luthman's arguments, and it kind of just shoves them in his face, which is beautiful. But it's got a lot. It's got a lot of let's see, it's got 10 exhibits as well as. So we'll see about that. I'm looking through. God, we're gonna have to do a lot of redaction though to show it. That's the only downside to that. It's so crazy, all of it there. Man, I love these stuff. 1 minute, and we'll continue. Okay, I like to see when documents floating in. I'm like, ooh, you know. It always catches me. I'm like, all right. Okay, so off of this, again, document 93. Why haven't they been receiving it? Well, in Otter Creek, they have use of this one wonderful little thing. It's called P.O. boxes. Now, we know about that because you have a lot of people that go up to the mail. They've talked about that. In fact, when there was one of the incidents that happened in Otter Creek, one of those took place around picking up mail, P.O. box use. Well, apparently that's the norm, you know. Let's see. 1 second. All right. So let me quote them. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that I don't misquote anything, while talking about it. 1 sec. Yes, ma'am.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you. Close that door for me, okay? She's a loving kid. She likes to tell you. She's like, hey, by the way, I just want to tell you I love you. I'm like, okay, well, thank you. But as far as the people that were served, okay, as far back as Trespass 5, there were claims about people that were being served. And yet everyone that was involved was like, yeah, about that. Oh, thank you, baby. You're the best kiddo ever. You and Sissy. Thank you. Close my door. She doesn't want to clean either, so she's trying to butter me up. She cracks me up with that. She's like, if I tell you you're the best dad ever a few hundred times, Yeah, well, and she's right. She is right about that stuff. She sends me little voicemails too. Give me 1 second. I'll play one for you. 1 second. So she'll sing me a song. Look, this is one of her. She'll send me a voicemail. Listen, here it is.
Dad ever, you are the best. Yes, Dad ever, you are the best. You are the best.
She'll sing. She'll be like, you're the best dad ever. She's funny though. She's cute. I have to give her that. She's very cute. But with this, so back to the subject at hand here. Even as far back as Trespass 5, people were noting that, hey, we're not receiving the documentation that they're saying that they're sending to us, And we're not just talking about, of course, about the people that were not served. You know that already. People like Travis. Travis didn't end up with anything in his mailbox, but there are other people that they had been brought in, but they weren't being told. The way that they found out was either they had I had heard this is wild to hear, that some of the people that were involved found out about the whole thing when they heard us covering it. So even though they were wide open for accepting, I mean, like I said, some people had opted in, but originally the majority of people found out about the lawsuit because we found out about it on the docket and we started covering it. Before that, though, they hadn't heard. I mean, think about that. Think about how crazy that is. These people, and we're not talking about like finding out about it and then later on having someone serve you. No. They got nothing with it. I mean, it's kind of wild, when you think about that. 1 minute. Yeah, I'm checking for a screenshot here. So with the bankruptcy, it's been the same problem. You have a lot of people now that are saying, despite, being on this list here, and again, when you look at the list, some people are covered through, give me a minute. Let's log in. Some people are covered under lawyers, of course, but they'll be listed separately as well. Some people are when they're listed, like I said, you can see, for example, you have names that are up here solo, but they've had to go care of folks like Randy Shockett, and part of that is to make sure that they are aware of what's happening, because again, they're supposed to be mailing them, but they weren't receiving anything. Like that, to me, that's insane. And then Travis's reaction, like that's what really got me thinking about it. Because when Travis, when he ended up with a mailing, you can go through his live stream, which the Fats, they were like, oh my God, he got something, and he was clickbaiting it and blah, blah, blah. No, he was disturbed by the whole idea that he had been served something. He doesn't keep up with all of this stuff. So as far as Saran Wrap as a lawyer, he had no idea who that was. Like, you can go into the live stream where he's discussing things, and you can find the chat tells him who that lawyer is. But he had no idea who this was or what it was about. And that's disturbing, because again, he is being brought up as a creditor. He should have, he should have the ability to take part in the creditor's meetings. And there have been multiple creditor meetings, and he's not been made aware of this stuff. They brought it up last night around 49 minutes in, because of course they do. Of course they try to damage control, and make it something stupid. But here's the thing. Like I said, Travis, he's noted many times, if something comes up about him, he brings it up. He's like, okay, but he doesn't belabor the point. Like today, for example, I thought he was potentially going to do a live stream on this subject, because he had thought about it, but he was like, somebody else can do it, So, he had other stuff he wanted to do on the day. So I was like, somebody else can cover this. Somebody that's more, on it. Now, he may talk about it later, who knows? But right now, as of it, he was just like, I don't think so. But they were talking about it, and they were like, Travis received some letter or something from the bankruptcy court case, right? Yeah, I would think he would. Yeah, we would all think he would, Fats. We all would. But the thing is, he's not getting them. And again, as far as the bankruptcy case, dude thought he was being sued again. I mean, to me, that is insane. God, you talk about, and these people are so bad, they've already had to reset the clock, as it were. I think the courts need to be told that these folks, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not mailing out items or doing any of that. It's kind of nuts. But then they're like, but what he did, he really just sat there. He told everybody he's going to read the letter. You know why he didn't, by the way, read the letter? He didn't read the letter because he didn't know he could. He thought there would be a problem potentially about him reading it, because again, he thought it was a lawsuit letter coming in. He was actually trying to cover himself. And when he's talking about it, if you listen to it, he's debating whether or not he should go into it. And he shows people some of what's there. He shows, like I said, that's how we find out that it's attached to the bankruptcy, because he shows a few shots of it. But you can tell he's nervous about that. He's kind of in shock. Some of us more than others, it's a weird world to live your life at least partially on the microphone. And I would say Travis partially live. He's not live every single day. And if he is, he's talking about other stuff most of the time. He could easily, that's the thing about him too. Like these people, they go after him and they talk all this shit and stuff. Travis, man, if he wanted to, he could be live streaming about them every day. They were also, they 100% admitted that John Cook, oh yeah, he was definitely recording Travis. He was definitely out there. The part they leave out is recording the schoolhouse employees and stuff too. That's part of the allegation of what was going on. But they're like, oh, but you can record them. And it's like, oh my God, man. What a bunch of weirdos. They scream and cry harassment. But they're like, oh, now it's everybody's right to record each other. Did you know that, by the way? Isn't that fun? You can see them crying about it here. But they're like, oh, he did grifting of his audience, and then he literally didn't show the letter. Said he'd do it another time. Yeah. He actually, like I said, he showed you part of the letter. One of the reasons he didn't read it, too, is because people were trying to tell him in the chat. They were like, essentially, you're not being sued again. This is part of your bankruptcy. And you should, if nothing else, first of all, support his channel. But beyond that, go through and just watch his reactions with the letter and see the nervousness and the apprehension, but also thinking it's a huge deal that he's received it. Because he didn't know better, because he's never received one before. Like, again, that blows my mind. Even the fats are like, oh, yeah, he should be receiving it. They don't realize that they're calling out the idiot lawyer that these people are using. Like I said, it blows my freaking mind there. But, oh, he milked it for subs and for money. By the way, if you haven't, go over and sub to Travis's channel. And if he's live, have him a good one, Make sure that he has a good live stream next time. I think he very well deserves one, By the way, I can't believe that there's almost 2,000 of you here on this Super Bowl Sunday. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate it. I figured we'd be dealing with like 1,000 people. Which, that's appreciated too. I just was like, there ain't no way there's gonna be that many people today. Not on the Super Bowl. I like I said, I personally don't care. There are people that are like, oh, what about the commercial? Man, I am not watching a spectacle for commercials. I refuse to buy into that quote unquote logic. If I really want to watch that, I'll watch tomorrow and see the ones that people are talking about, the best part. But that is the best marketing ploy that's ever existed, by the way. Convincing people that you should watch a show. Maybe it's not good, but commercials might be. Really? Advertisements? Are you kidding me? The things that I pay extra not to watch on my streaming services? Are you kidding me? Oh, my Lord. But yeah, they bring that up, and then they bring up the oh yeah, he also spoke about John Cook filming him. So I don't understand. It's okay for you to film John and Michelle, but not them. No, yeah, I think that's weird. Like, cool. So it is now established that it is okay. I thought again that first of all, they can't record everybody. They do not have the right to run around and record people that are under the protective order, first of all. But other people, yes, you do have the right to. So when Cook and Annette, they call it harassment and more, what you're being told here is that that's just a straight up lie. It is. It is just a straight up freaking lie. I'm glad that they corrected that, aren't you? 1 second. I forgot. I keep a list of expenses, and this all reminded me that I forgot to put in YouTube Premium. I try to keep up with everything I spend for this channel. So I'm writing that down. Sorry. This reminder, for some reason, I don't know. I thought, hey, by the way, these people, though, I mean, they accidentally give away stuff they're not supposed to. There was a good post, by the way, from Susan Davis. You know, Susan Davis has really good posts on items like this, and I like these. I like the whole I like law explained more. You know, the more opinions, the more explanation you get. Sometimes it helps certain items sink in. And also, like if I'm bringing up something and maybe not describing it well enough, or if I could be wrong on something, hey, it's always good to see other people's opinions too. I always like it when there's more people commenting. So props. Check out Susan Davis's comments about that, and you can see the group here too. Otter Creek Tube Town there. So, a creditor is anyone who holds a quote-unquote claim against the debtor as of the date the debtor files the bankruptcy petition. The bankruptcy code defines quote-unquote claim extremely broadly. It doesn't have to be a some certain judgment or an existing lawsuit. The focus is on the facts that that exist at the time the debtor files their petition. If the facts give rise to potential liability occurred before the bankruptcy filing, you know what's crazy about this though, with the explanation of this, right? What's crazy about it is by their discussion of the quote unquote facts, they say that liability has arisen from many a person, right? Like, look at all the people that they say, yes, future claim, those folks. So it's strange, there's selection, right? But the affected person may be a creditor, even if no one has sued yet, damages are unknown, or the debtor disputes liability. Yeah, this, like his, will be a real problem for them. Listing a claim is not an admission. It's a notification. Yes, part of this, by the way, there's a word there I like. It's called notification. You know, when you put in someone though, you're telling somebody something. You know, you're supposed to, as the court, as you're reporting to the court, you're also telling them that, hey, by the way, I am notifying them of this too. You know, the debtor is saying the pre-petition facts exist. The court can take it from here. This is why the hypothetical about a pharmaceutical company declaring bankruptcy right after it puts out a new drug, before it puts out a new drug, discharging all liability by listing everyone in the U.S. as a creditor falls wide. Yeah, of course. You know, it's the insanity of what these people have claimed bankruptcy. You're exactly right. Their idea of how bankruptcy works and what a claim is, they think that you can just whip something out of thin air and say, well, because remember when they were talking about who to add and how to add it? Do you remember the early live stream? There were, I think, 2 of them. I remember one very well, and I think there was another one where, you know, they got it all together and they guffaw and they're like, hey, we're gonna be able to discharge I see a lot of loss or a lot of bankruptcies coming lately. You remember those? I need to go back and to pull those up again. I think we should do that actually. You know, the more I think about that, because that live stream, it's really, it's inconvenient for them. Oh God, that nose spray, Jesus. Sorry. My voice is getting better, but Lord, the ways of going about it. Oh God, give me just 1 second. Oh God. All right, here we go. That made my eyes water. Whew. But the same logic applies to the on the asset side. Skipped. I'm sorry. A client must be tied to an actual petition, conduct, or events. Speculation about what might happen in the future does not create a claim. Exactly. That's exactly the thing. You know, when they were talking about how they would approach bankruptcy, they were talking about, you know, well, maybe this person, we might do this or we might do that. Again, it was kind of like throwing a dart and not hitting the board. It was more like hitting the wall. And when you hit the wall, they were like, well, that would probably be something we could take care of. I mean, the absurdity. Exactly. I think that's I think speculation, the speculative nature, you would think that they would know a little bit about the procedures that they involve themselves in. You know, I would be talking to, like, for example, if I'm going to file bankruptcy, I'm going to pay a lawyer a substantial amount of money. I think I'm going to talk to them about what that means. You know, that would make sense, right? If you're going to go out and you're going to, it's not just file off either. It's the impact. You know, you're talking about, you've got a 7-year impact, but truly we're talking about, I mean, if we're being real about it, you're talking about around a decade of impact here. We are not talking about a spring chicken here, you know, not being rude about age or anything. I'm not a spring chicken either. A decade of my life, I don't know if I will be here at the end of that. So this could literally be the last thing that you do. You don't get another shot at it either, you know. So if you screw up on it, whoopsie. You know, but claims are based upon the fact that exist at the date the debtor filed the bankruptcy petition. The same logic applies on the asset side. If, as of the filing date, the debtor has potential legal claims against third parties based on pre-petition facts, those claims are assets on the bankruptcy estate and must be disclosed. This is not optional bookkeeping. That's right. Very good statement there. The trustee's job is to investigate the estate and maximize its value for creditors. In order to do this job, the trustee must know what legal rights exist. If the trustee has a diamond necklace, it's an asset that must, I'm sorry, if the debtor, I said trustee, I don't know why I said that. If the debtor has a diamond, I was like, wait, why does the trustee have a diamond necklace? If the debtor has a diamond necklace, it's an asset that must be disclosed. If the debtor has a legal claim against a third party, it's an asset that must be disclosed. If the trustee determines that pursuing a claim is not worth the cost, risk, or effort, the trustee, they may abandon it. When this happens, the claim typically reverts to the debtor, who may pursue it on their own if they choose. If the claim is not disclosed, however, it may be lost entirely. Like, this is a big deal right here. When they open up this window for 10 years, this is something that, again, Lynette Preston, I do not think is smart enough to understand. In fact, I heard the Fat saying something the other night, and the way that they were trying to frame this was just absurdity to me. They were trying to imply that the trustee being brought on was actually a bad thing for Jeremy and for other people, because that person may try to grab assets from them. And I was like, for what? Because of damage that these people have done to Michelle Preston. I kid you not. This was a talking point that they adopted. And my immediate response was, what damages are you talking about? There has never been anything litigated where you could, in the immediate, have a trustee say, okay, I'm going to take this money from these people. Like what damages? In fact, you just had a court come in and say, very strongly, by the way, that Lynette Preston filed a fraudulent lawsuit against multiple people. And there are other, you know, with the protective order and the way that it failed, the way that the trespass 5 is gone to, it looks pretty bad. It all looks really bad. So this talking point that they tried to, you know, grab onto as a deflection trying to say, actually, this person is in here because of, was just a strange one for me. But disclosure only matters for discharge. A Chapter 7 discharge eliminates the debtor's personal liability on most pre-petition claims, but only after creditors are given notice and an opportunity to act. Creditors who believe a debt is non-dischargeable must raise those issues in a bankruptcy case. This is why not informing somebody is a problem. Right here in a nutshell. So if somebody writes in and they're like, hey, I want to, I'm listing this because I want to discharge any of this, this debt that I'm listing. Well, when you look at some of this stuff as a creditor, you're like, no, no. That's not right. That's not proper. So if they're not telling these creditors they're involved, that's actually not a problem for the creditor, though. That is a problem for them. Because if you go in, so I got curious about this subject after looking at what was going on with Travis, and then other people telling me that they weren't being informed either. I was very curious about what road that could go. And let's just say, you know, skipping to the end of it, it's a very bad road for someone like Lynette Preston to travel. It's not a road that you want to go down, especially if, you know, again, this is your chance, your opportunity. This is your prime time. You get one of them in so many years. You can't go back to this stuff over and over. Again, she's if she doesn't get it right this time, if she doesn't manage to discharge this stuff, she will never. Well, I shouldn't say never. She probably won't, though, get another shot at it this way. It probably won't go well for her. And leaving items open, like people not being told about this, not knowing that it's going on, that's a huge no-no. Because again, there have been at minimum 4 creditor meetings. And these people, they're all supposed to know what's going on. Like I said, Travis doesn't keep up with this mess. You know, he keeps up with it if it impacts him, and he knows it impacts him. And, you know, we try to, for this kind of stuff, I try on my own to keep people apprised of things. Hey, do you know this is going on? But, you know, sometimes you assume that people realize they're supposed to be getting mailings and stuff. But, I mean, really, how would they know? If they've never been through it, Travis not a lawyer, you know, so he wouldn't know. And he doesn't know about what they're attempting to do with this either. So with him, obviously, if you raise this point and you're saying, I believe like this debt right here, this would be dischargeable. Well, I'm sure like Travis or anyone else would say, no, hell to the no. This is not dischargeable. This is crazy. This is something that some idiot is going out and trying to do willfully. And, you know, the amazing thing about it is there's plenty of case law that showcases exactly what we're talking about with that. You know, if you do something willful or malicious, it is very well laid out. I got to get a drink here. Oh, man. My voice is back, but it's definitely a little bit on the chubby side. Man, those idiots last night were saying all kinds of crazy, stupid stuff. Give me 1 second. Huh. Yeah, I was checking something out real quick. I was trying to see. Now, yeah. So, you know, it had been noted too, you know, just to back up and to note something as well. With the filming, I did note the schoolhouse filming, you know, with John Cook. They keep talking about him being able to film. Like I said, you cannot stalk or harass, you know, try to bother, try to make protected persons worry for the safety of themselves or the people that are surrounding them, you know? Going after their business, acting like that. I mean, these people know better, Lord. But anyway, so if a creditor receives notice and does nothing, the result is not suspense. It's discharge. Once the case closes, the creditor is generally barred from trying to collect the debt later. Bankruptcy, yes, you know, now you can, again, as a caveat to that, though, if they are not following the rules, they are not informing people that this stuff, if you decide, hey, I'm not going to do anything with that, then potentially you can give that away. Although I have seen, so I looked up pre-petition lawsuits, you know, like we're looking at here, and there was a guy that was in a lawsuit that somebody had managed to write off. They had managed to get it discharged, and then this person, you know, they go through, they end up winning the lawsuit, and they didn't realize it had been written off. So they went back to the court about it. And it was a case that had been, that had definitely been malicious, willful, and it was reversed. So there are circumstances, just depending, you know, if you're going out and you're trying to deceptively do this, you know, you're trying to covertly pull like this bankruptcy BS, then yeah, not so much. But yeah, generally, I mean, that would be correct. And says bankruptcy is not a guessing game. Claims are based upon the existing facts. If it's a disclosure system designed to A, put all known and reasonably knowable pre-petition claims and assets on the table. B, allow the trustee to do their job. C, to give creditors a chance to speak up. And then D, bring the matter to a legally final end. What's going to be interesting, that I'm very curious about this. I'm very curious about how they're going to feel about potentially hidden assets. You know, if Lynette would have been just forthright with jewelry and other things like that, I wonder how things would be approached. Versus, I mean, right now it looks like you've got this army of things that she has not been honest about, and I would think that would bring some scrutiny, I guess, would be the best way to go about it, you know. And then on top of it, like I said, they're telling the court that they are mailing and letting all these creditors know about these meetings. I mean, again, it's noted with documents, and they're filing it with the court too. They're saying, if you look, you know, they talk about serving in, they always have a service rule. Give me a second here. They always talk about service with these documents. So if you look, they have like against RANRAP will serve the document pursuant to applicable rules and file a certificate of service within so many days. Now, I thought what was interesting too is that the document that we just saw Travis, one thing I guess I need to ask him about that. I'm curious if he just, the way I took it, the way he was talking, he had gotten it that day. You know, it wasn't something that had laid around or anything else. So we're talking about a document that it went up, it was filed on the 27th. And he got it on the 7th, right? For a creditor meeting that is on, isn't that on the 10th? So he ends up finding out about it on a Saturday. So he ends up, let's see, the January the 27th was a Tuesday. All right. So you have a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, business days. You have another week of business days. Then you have the weekend, the 7th, yesterday. You're just now informing someone of something, and there is a meeting on the 10th. And it seems to be cutting pretty short there too. I do think it's disturbing though, again, just for this and Travis by itself, that again, give me 1 second here. All right. We also have, oh wow, good Lord. Y'all want to see a new document? Do you want to see some juicy? Give me a second. It'll take me a minute to send it to myself, okay? Because there's a new one docketing up. So it's document 158. It is a response to painty chips. Give me a second here. It'll take me a minute to make sure I can get it. Like I said, this is just it's a brand new thing that was hitting the docket. I was like, ooh. Yummy. I always like it when we get something brand new, you know. Oh, give me a second. I gotta mark something too. There it is. It takes it forever to mail through to me. All right, here it is. Give me 1 minute. I gotta download it out of Google. God, I hate it when it does that. Yep. All right, here we are. Got that. Good deal. Heck yeah. So this is there's actually a 40-page response to Luthman, which, like I said, it's kind of nice. You know, you gotta. I'm letting it download. It's gonna take it just a minute, but 40 freaking pages. I didn't realize we had something new coming in. So this is just hitting with, again, a lot of items added on. Give me 1 minute. Like I said, this is fresh, so it's taking me a second. I'm securing everything. Man, that's a big one. Let me make sure that there's not an address that's going to pop up real quick. Oops, there's one. That's another thing you have to worry about. Give me 1 minute to redact a couple of addresses off of this, and then we'll be good to go. Okay. There's a couple of them that where they're talking about service. So essentially, if you haven't been keeping up, I'll tell you while I'm redacting this, I'll tell you what we're looking at here. You have paint chips. He filed saying essentially you haven't done anything right. You're not doing anything correctly. You know, this or that. You know, I mean, he just wants to talk smack and, you know, say that he's never been served. So when you go through this, though, what you find is a lot of discussion and a lot of mockery as well. You know, him actually going out, it picks up his videos where he's like, "Hey, Germ, I'm in the snow. I'm doing this. Hey, loser." So it's pretty amazing. I mean, Randy definitely drops the hammer on him in this. This will be document 158. And again, just give me a minute because there's addresses throughout this thing, you know, and you don't necessarily have to redact them, but I try to, you know. I absolutely try to. I'm not saying that I don't miss them every now and then, but again, you know, I'm just trying to be nice. I'm nicer than these people are. You know, this is the same person that decided that they were going to dox people like Megan where she lives. But you know, I'm nicer than that. Should I be nicer than that? I don't know. But I try to be. Give me 1 minute. All right, we're at least 20 pages down. All right, I'm going to open it up now. Sorry, like I said, just give me a second. When they hit right in the middle of the stream, I wasn't expecting it. So here we are. Oh, I got it. I got some redaction on it. Man, talk about rolling. Appreciate you all too. Takes me just a minute. So here we go. Check this out. 158. This is Randy's response. And I'm sure we will talk about this tomorrow as well. If you have things that you have to do today, I totally get that. But, oh man, some of it is very saucy. Megan will enjoy the heck out of this tomorrow too. So We have, again, this is plaintiff's response in opposition to default for Luthman's motion to vacate clerk's default and to dismiss second amended complaint. That is a mouthful, is it not? That is a mouthful. This is pretty saucy. I like this filing, by the way, from what I've seen. I haven't read it, but what I could see through redaction, I'm speed reading over part of it, and some of it's pretty good. So, again, the plaintiffs that are involved. This is... again, a response to, you can see document, by the way, document number for those playing at home, 158. An introduction. So, Paint Chips, Richard Luthman, not Jr., Luthman, has filed a motion to vacate the clerk's default entered against him January 22nd, 2026, and to dismiss the second amended complaint. Now, Luthman's motion should be denied because, one, his own exhibits contradict his claim that he was misidentified, and two, he has made, well, there's a few of these, two, that plaintiffs made numerous attempts, documented attempts, rather, to serve him at both of his claimed Florida addresses. So the ones that he's saying, hey, by the way, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. You guys, you didn't do this right. Yeah, they tried to serve those. So the ones that they mention, it's so absurd the way that he tries to play that. And three, substitute service was properly effectuated pursuant to Florida law. And as a result, four, Luthman has failed to demonstrate good cause to set aside the default. Additionally, Luthman's alternative arguments regarding arbitration and failure to state a claim are meritless. The motion to vacate the clerk's default entered against him should be denied. So, factual background. On April 28th, 2025, plaintiff filed first amended complaint naming Richard Luthman as a defendant. On the 11th of June, they file a second. Plaintiff made numerous documented attempts to serve Luthman at the two addresses that, again, he claims addresses. All right. To make this clear, he claims them. So they know with that. Now, as evidenced by the process server affidavit, multiple service attempts were made at both addresses between May and August 2025. The process server documented that on November the 3rd, 2025, he attempted to call Luthman, who responded with the hostility, stating, "You're a dumb," I'm just going to read it this way, "You're a dumb fuck to think that anyone in their right mind would agree to meet and accept court papers from you, and I'm going to make your life fucking miserable." Minutes later, Luthman called the process server from a Mexico number, threatening, "I'm going to report you and your business as sex predators. I know who your family is and where you live." Wow. Wow. That is in Exhibit 1, by the way. So again, many, many threats. Lovely people. Now, after these failed attempts at personal service, plaintiffs properly effectuated substitute service through the Florida Secretary of State, pursuant to, by the way, I have to give him kudos because within the first page, he dropped that little hammer there, he was like, bam, that's what you do. Like, I like that because, you want to note how crazy these people act. And you want to do it quickly. You don't want to bury it in legalese and other BS. And it's right there. It's right there, and it's right there very quickly. So, after failed attempts, they do substitute service again through the Secretary of State, pursuant to the statutes they have here. Then on January the 22nd, 2026, we have the clerk enter default against him. Now, the argument, Luthman's own exhibits contradict his claim that he was misidentified. Now, his primary argument is that he was misidentified because the complaint names Luthman rather than Richard A. Luthman Jr. This argument is directly contradicted by his own exhibits. In his declaration of domicile, which he filed in Florida, he signed his name under oath as Richard Luthman, not as Richard A. Luthman Jr. So he doesn't use this. So in his own document that he filed, he didn't put that. Similarly, in his complaint filed with the Middle District of Florida, he identified himself as Richard Luthman. Luthman cannot claim he was misidentified when he himself uses Richard Luthman as his name in official court filings and legal documents. His attempt to evade service by claiming a name discrepancy is disingenuous and should be rejected. It should have been right out the gate, by the way. Really, because again, this man, he attaches that, and his argument is, well, I use Luthman as a stage name. Well, you also use it on filings that you make with courts. You also use it with all types of legal documents. So how's that work? You know? Plaintiff made numerous documented attempts to serve Luthman at Florida addresses. So, contrary to his assertions that no attempts were made to serve him at his actual residence, the record demonstrates multiple service attempts at both of his claimed Florida addresses. The process server affidavits document at least 8 separate attempts to serve him at the 2 exhibits there, or 2 notes, which are exhibited through. And additionally, UPS priority mail envelope addressed to him at the very address he used as his declaration of domicile. So the place, see, this is an important note too. He says that nobody tried to serve him at the addresses that he has filed a declaration of domicile. And yet, when you look, they didn't just try to serve him there. They tried to serve him multiple times there. And what happened when you had something priority mailed? It was returned to sender, unable to forward, further evidencing attempts to serve Luthman at his claimed address. Service of process may be accomplished by quote, following state law for serving a summons in an action brought in courts of general jurisdiction in the state where the district court is located and where service is made. Again, you can see what that's based out of. The plaintiffs, they complied with this requirement by attempting personal service multiple times and then resorting to substitute service as permitted under Florida law. Now, 3, the substitute service, it was properly effectuated pursuant to Florida law. After diligent but unsuccessful attempts to personally serve paint chips, plaintiff properly effectuated substitute service, though, by through the Florida Secretary of State, pursuant to, again, you have the statutes. These statutes permit substitute service when a defendant is concealing his whereabouts or engaging in business in Florida. Now, Paint Chips actually acknowledges, again, these which allow for substitute service via Secretary of State, applied in certain circumstances, specifically for non-residents or residents who are concealing their whereabouts. Therefore, it is immaterial whether Paint Chips is a resident or a non-resident. Rather, the issue is that Paint Chips has been concealing his whereabouts, actively evading service of process. And see, that's the question there. It isn't where he lives. It's part of him concealing where he lives. You know, he tried to make it an argument of where I am as far as states are concerned. And it's like, no, it's more of a second portion. It also goes with people who are concealing their whereabouts and when you're actively evading service. So that's one of the reasons that you can effectuate an alternative service, because otherwise, if there was no way to serve people, you know, with an alternative method of service, people would just disappear. You know, they disappear until the clock, it runs out on a lawsuit. I mean, this, to be honest, this shit show that has been allowed with this stuff here, it went on way too long to begin with. You know, They should have been when you have somebody and they're going to show all of these attempts at bragging about how, haha, I haven't been served. Ah, ha, ha, you still can't catch me. And they're doing all of these live streams. This stuff is brought up here. Under Florida law, a person has a legal obligation to accept service when service is attempted reasonably. With, again, case law noting, quote, the rule means that a person within the jurisdiction has an obligation to accept service process when service is attempted reasonably. A court will not require a plaintiff to expend limitless resources. See, this is a problem right here. This is so absurd in the case that we're looking at because the amount of money just spent on attempts at service it's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. By the way, it was funny. Last night, they were whining about DJ Radis and DJ Radis and service on DJ Radis or lack thereof. And I thought, well, that's weird. So DJ Radis, they kept saying was quote unquote avoiding service. If he's avoiding service and it's bad, then isn't this bad? One second, right here. I heard you coming down through there. Yeah, I see that. It's very cute. I like that.
Yeah.
A little ice cream. Yeah.
It's vanilla and chocolate.
Yeah, it's cute.
And you got a cactus one.
I got a cactus one.
Well, Sissy got
I don't remember.
Oh.
You still look tired. Are you tired still?
Maybe.
Why don't you go take it? You can take a nap today. It's a lazy day. Don't drop your ice cream person though, okay?
Yeah, my phone over here.
Do I know? Oh, you want me to see if it's charged? It's charged to 63%.
Okay, but what's on the floor?
Because I set it there because I was picking that up. I didn't want to hit the screen.
Yeah, I need to.
You wanted it 100? Okay.
Yeah, because 100 is the best.
Okay. All right. Well, go upstairs and I'll charge it up some more, okay? Love you, kiddo.
Love you too.
Yeah.
And Sissy got,
I don't remember which one she got.
A Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah, that's right. A Bigfoot one. That's right. All right.
And what about this one, please, again?
I don't know.
I like the ice cream one the
Yeah.
best.
Yep,
and
it's
you
cute.
like the cactus one the best because you like cactuses?
Yeah, I did. I like the cactus one. Mm-hmm. All right. Go upstairs, though, okay? Love you.
Okay.
Thank you for showing me that.
You need a buddy, like a buddy that's just like them.
Yeah.
Like just the same.
We'll have to look
but
another day.
different to
Okay.
be the buddy.
Okay, we'll have to look another day. She's showing me a little, I don't know what they're called. They're like little figures, they're like little skeletons, but they're cute. They're dressed up, She got one that was like a little ice cream cone that's dressed up. She likes showing it off sometimes. So, yeah. All right. Hey, close that door for me, okay?
It's not about yours.
All right. Well, thank you. Close the door for me. Love you.
Love you too.
So let me wake this up. There we are. Now you can see down below, he's going to be mocking service. He's taunting that he's evading service. So the record clearly demonstrates that Luthman was actively evading service. I mean, his hostile and threatening response of the process server call on November 3rd, 2025 is compelling evidence of his attempt to avoid service. Moreover, he's made public videos, quote unquote, taunting defendant with his evasiveness. You can see, like here, hey, germ, not served in the snow, which is up there. It's, hey, germ, word on the street is Luthman vanished, quote unquote, somewhere in the snow. Good luck sending your Florida process server in a blizzard, big guy. Even the outlaw bikers running his security laughed. Germ, nah, we don't do cartoons. Hashtag Hells Fears Luthman. Germs claims he's closing in on Luthman. Meanwhile, the only tracks in the snow are from biker boots and wolves. Your process server turned back after hearing one Harley start. Pocket Rocket cried. Hashtag Jeremy Hales. Hashtag what the hell. So you can see, again, he's flagrantly bragging and flagrantly talking about, you remember the whole biker gang threats too. I mean, it's just flagrantly doubling and tripling down. But again, it's yet another one of those times where he also, while threatening isn't talking about putting in the work himself, of course, because that's what he does. You know, it's always like that. Ugh. Please retake this photo because it makes you sick to your stomach. I'm sorry. The next thing again, hey, Germ, let me check something real fast. Actually, let me make sure of something when I'm looking at these. I want to make sure he doesn't have something hidden in one of these, to be honest. That is a problem. Just give me 1 minute, okay? I do want to make sure he hasn't put some nasty pornographic BS into it. You know, that's one thing I do not. I mean, these idiots, man. Remember that this is something that the ecosystem, again, they wonder why, as I talk about channels and how some of them end up getting knocked out for having, you know, banned people on them and stuff. They don't seem to understand the fact that happens a lot. And why hasn't that happened lately? Well, because a lot of these places are, if they're out there running their mouths, I mean, my God, the stuff with like lips and chips, my God, I cannot believe what they host or what they say on their channel. I cannot believe it. I have seen craziness that you can't imagine online. Like I bore witness to spectacle that is just, it is amazing and insane, but this really takes the prize. So here is another one. It's, hey, Germ. Jeremy Health fails at serving Rich Luthman. Again, you notice also that he's not using a junior when he talks about himself. You notice how every time he mentions himself, it's not junior ever. Luthman sat in front of a federal judge in Fort Myers. You couldn't find him? Really? Hashtag Jeremy Hales fails. Hashtag Jeremy Hales. Hashtag what the hales. Hashtag paint chips winner. Hashtag germ loser. Hashtag hey germ. Now, by the way, I do have to say one thing. I hate to give this guy credit anytime, but these morons, this is what you do when people freaking, they try to make fun of you. Adopt it. I would. You know, like the paint chip. That's the only positive I can really say for him. You know, and I mean this for any of you out there. If the Fats or anybody, I see some people sometimes get upset about what these people say. Now, if they make some horrendous claim about you, again, set the record straight, but don't let them get under your skin while doing it. You know, monetize them, ruin them with it, but mock them, deride them. You know, take that lesson. They better be glad. Like I said, they better be glad that we don't take the other lessons that they showcase. Because if other people did, my Lord, you know, I mean, the stuff that they do and they think is okay. Whew. Anyway, continuing. Bailiff, clerk, and judges saw Luthman. You nowhere. What will Judge Belitho say? I mean, he brings up the judge there. He brings him up like a giant middle finger to the judge, too. I mean, just the asinineness to all of this it's amazing to me, you know? It's absolutely freaking amazing to me. Hey, what's up, Intimidator, by the way, man? It's good to see you, brother. It is good to see you. Hey, what's up? Something to work about, too. I'll look at that. By the way, I'll catch all super chats. I just saw people pop up. And the memberships and stuff at the beginning, man, that was amazing. We had like 30 memberships falling in, 20 from Lady Blue Hawaiian, which was awesome. And that's a way to kick off a stream. And then after that, I mean, we had plenty other people, everybody from Cindy to Fallen Hero. Frankie dropped 10 in there. God, and so many other folks. By the way, you folks, if you, oh yeah, Dare, that's right. The Randy's tie is up. That's tonight, isn't it? The tie is up for auction. Let me note that to Megan as well. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna note that. Yo, hey Megan. Remind Nick that Randy's time is up for auction. He probably forgot. So pester him. Yeah, well. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for mentioning that. I can't say much. I forgot to. I'm glad you said that too. By the way, if you like the content today as well, if you would like, tell people we are still here. We're going over some newness too. We talked about the bankruptcy crazy as well. On top of that, share the live stream. And of course, if you'd like to help out the channel, if you enjoy what we do and would like to go further, consider ye old breadsticks. And thank you. So, here again, look, he's going with that alligator claim. That's what a nasty piece of business. And again, you know what's crazy about that? Like I said, it would be so easy to do that to these. They want, in fact, they want Hills to respond with something like that so they can cry victim. They absolutely do. They want it. That's what they tried to set him up for. That's why they make up some of the most horrendous allegations ever. Therefore, it says on October the 3rd, if your processor was smart enough to come get me in Naples, he could have found me at the grouper and Chip's place down here. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go get lunch in the grouper and Chip's place because it's one of the best. But you're not going to come here because, sir, you're an alligator effer and a closeted homosexual. By the way, these people who complain all the time saying that Jeremy Hills hates LGBT, look at their descriptors of folks. They compare having you hate to say it this way, having quote unquote relations with an animal to being homosexual. That's the same type of thing. You're an elder abuser and a paid agitator. You continue to be these things at the court of law. We'll know all about it very soon. Have a good day. And then he filed his crazy. Good God, look at that potato-headed mofo. What the hell fails? Very, very stupid. This is on the 8th of August. Hashtag Jeremy Hales. Hashtag what the hell. Setting in a Columbia restaurant, Sarasota. Oh, I can't even imagine him eating. While Jeremy Hales is, Jeremy Fails is 1,000 miles away in Ohio, still too stupid to serve me. The alligator lover missed his shot in federal court again. Hashtag Jeremy Hales. Hashtag, and of course he's putting his stupid little alligator thing. Hashtag what the hell's. Hashtag Luthman. What an idiot. I mean, seriously. He thinks, hey, you know what? I can just, the message in here is very clear too. If they win a case where they are being told essentially that I can go in and I can ruin somebody's name, putting out allegations of them doing horrendous things with animals and more, man, buckle up for that then, because that's a two-way street, baby. That is. Like I said, every one of these cases they involved themselves in, like they don't see the other side of it. Like for example, the thumbnail case. They couldn't look at that and be like, if that did work out in some weird world, what would happen to us? Oh, we would have problems too. So not very smart in these things, are they? Not very smart at all. All right. So let's see. Blah, blah. And somewhere in Ohio, Jeremy Fails, wonders why process service is like fishing for gators. Throw bait. Wait, sorry, pal, still very stupid. Then, God, what happened to your tongue, sir? Did you lose part of it in prison? Look at that. No, gross. I'm wondering now. It's bad. I hear a kid coming, so I'm gonna have to give me a second. What are you doing, kiddo?
Been watching TV.
All right. Well, here, give me a hug.
Hungry.
Give me a hug. Hey, tell Sissy to make you something because I'll be on here for a little bit longer. Okay. So go tell her to set you up something. Okay. Okay. Tell her. Okay. Tell her I'll message her. Okay. I'll message her. Yeah. We'll give something because you just got up from your nap. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so tired. Tired.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm messaging her right now. Okay. You tell her. Okay. All right. Hey, go tell her. I just asked her to. Okay.
I'm doing the penguin walk.
All right. Well, hey, penguin walk yourself up the steps. Okay.
My legs do walk, but I'm trying to do the penguin walk.
Uh-huh.
Because it lets one leg go up.
Actually, I think penguins, one thing that isn't a I can't clean walk. So I think you can clean if you can penguin walk. Now, don't do that, you'll fall.
My leg actually hurts.
We'll go tell Sissy. Okay. Love you. Tell her, like I said, and close the door. What a nut. She's like, look, I can penguin walk. I was like, penguin walk isn't a hurt walk. you're bouncing around and doing all kinds of weird walks. You can clean. And she started fake limping again. Let me wake this up. Guess that. There it goes. All right. So new one here from November the 23rd. You guys are avoiding serving me because hell's fears loathment. So if I don't hear from you, happy Thanksgiving. And by then you'll be what they call so out of luck. Have a good one. This right here, by the way, is him telling him that I'm avoiding service. And if you don't serve me by this specific date, then I'll overrun the clock out. Like that's not him. That's not just him bragging about evading service, but it's beyond that. Hey, sorry, Andre. I was watching her on the step. She had me worried. So, she was hopping around. So I didn't see that come in. I'll note it. I'm sure he'll come back. I just get that feeling. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. Oh, hell's a loser. Paint chips gets bagels. You couldn't make it clearer that he is actively avoiding service. Hey, Jerm, I just got my breakfast at Brooklyn Donut in Naples, Florida. I got some great bagels. I got some bagels with bacon, egg, and cheese. I got another for later with pastrami. Gross. I don't want to think about you eating, you gross weirdo. And I just wanted to let you know that today it is proven fact that you, sir, are a paid agitator, a elder abuser, and an alligator effer. Again, he said that it's a proven fact. Proven fact. Statements of fact, baby. And he thinks, well, because I can say anything I want because of litigation. I didn't realize you were in litigation, sir. I thought, you've made it very, very clear that litigation, it doesn't matter with you because you've never been served. Therefore, you're not part of a case, right? So how in the world would you have any kind of privilege with that anyway? Like, how does that work? He said, he's made it very clear. I'm not part of a case. What an idiot, though. You think, oh, you can go out because you're being sued. This whole argument is the dumbest thing ever, by the way. They're saying, like, the argument, and other idiots pick this up too. You're already being sued. Therefore, you can do or say whatever you want about somebody. Think about how absurd and stupid that is. Think about that. And it's not just that. They give other people this advice too. They're telling other people, you too can do this. And you think about how, like I said, absurd that idea is. So, now, we can formally say new things about you because of litigation privilege. We can say that you are a closeted homosexual. Again, look, they go with the alligator effer, closeted homosexual. Again, you tell me. These are the people that say, again, Jeremy Hales doesn't like the blah, blah, blah. And yet, look at what they have to say. They just make it clear repeatedly. What's amazing is some of these people attempt to run business. If you don't like something about this is a thing I've never understood with business. All right. If you in your personal life don't like something in your professional life, you should never conflate that thing to some standard that you think you have. You as a business, you should be serving one thing. That's business. It shouldn't be bias. And these people, with Hales, like I said, he's been very clear that he welcomes whomever. That's my stance. I don't care if you're an adult and you are following the law. I don't personally. Now, like I said, if you walk people around in dog masks or anything, don't expect me not to have a chuckle at your expense sometimes. I'm just saying, it's some bizarre shit. If you drive around in a loofah-mobile, that's some weird shit to me. But if you're adults dealing with other adults, well, whatever. But these people, they hate. And they make it clear they hate. So here's another one. Hey, Germ, happy Thanksgiving. Hey, Germ, I'm in Sarasota at Yoder's picking up pies for Thanksgiving. I'm going to have a bunch of really good pies, blah, blah, blah. But I know the thing you're not going to have the poontang pie. What in the gross? Gross, man. Why does this dude always think about have you noticed how many of these people think about Jeremy Hales? I'm going to say intimately. Let's just say it that way. They spend a lot of time talking about his male anatomy. They talk about his butt and doing things to his butt. And they talk about poop all the time. It's really disturbing when you put all of that together, because that's the ecosystem. I mean, they are infatuated with Jeremy Hales and his male parts and talking about sex with him. We know all about this. You've had a bad run of things the last few days. I think the courts are starting to get wise to you, particularly Dan Owens. That's going to be a real problem. You did get lucky, though. The court said you have 40 more days to come by and hand me papers in the case. I'm here now. Come hand me papers. You know where I live. Under these circumstances, in notes, substitute service was entirely appropriate and effective. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to make sure, again, there's no address below this. I'm moving along decently well. Just give me a second. I'm just making sure he doesn't have his address on the next 5 pages. This stuff is nuts, though. Again, the trial by combat thing is in here, too. All this stupid is in here. It is absolutely amazing. It's amazing that somebody would stick their fucking name to some of this stuff. Oh, Lord. All right, let's continue. So, Luthman willfully defaulted by displaying either an intentional or reckless disregard for the judicial proceedings. So under the federal rules of civil procedure, blah, 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 a court may set aside an entry of default for good cause. The 11th Circuit considers 3 factors for determining whether good cause exists. Number 1, whether default was culpable or willful, whether setting aside the default would prejudice the adversary, and whether the defaulting party presents a meritorious defense. Moreover, quote, if a party willfully defaults by displaying either an intentional or reckless disregard for the judicial proceedings, the court need make no other findings in denying relief. I would think that right there would speak. If they are displaying an intentional or reckless disregard for the judicial proceedings, like how could you label this anything but that? So Rule 55C, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, provide in a relevant part that, quote, for good cause shown, the court may set aside an entry of default. Good cause is mutable standard varying from situation to situation. It is also a liberal one, but not so elastic as to be devoid of substance. Again, case. We recognize that quote unquote good cause is not susceptible to a precise formula, but some general guidelines are commonly applied. Courts have considered whether the default was culpable or willful, whether setting it aside would prejudice the adversary, and whether the defaulting party presents a meritorious defense. Again, cases here. We note, however, that these factors are not talismanic, and that the courts have examined other factors, including whether the public interest was implicated, rather, I almost say complicated, implicated, whether there was significant financial loss to the defaulting party, and whether the defaulting party acted promptly to correct the default. Quote, whatever other factors are employed. I wonder if I could blow that up a little bit. Yeah, hey, look at that. Give me 1 second. Let me try to blow this up a little bit more, even more. Yeah, that works. Whatever factors are employed, the imperative is that they be regarded simply as a means of identifying circumstance which warrant the finding of good cause to set aside the default. However, if a party willfully defaults by displaying either an intentional or reckless disregard for the judicial proceeding, the court need make no other finding in denying relief. Now, the record demonstrates that Luthman actively evaded service, made threats to the process server, taunted plaintiff online, and engaged in, yes, I mean, how in the world can you look at all these tactics here and think this is not him going out of his way? This is not, it is not him displaying intentional or reckless disregard for a judicial proceeding. So his claim that he was unaware of the lawsuit is not credible given his documented interactions with the process server and his detailed online public admissions of knowledge of the case. Yeah, he's like, I didn't know about it. Well, you talked about it a lot. How did you not know about it? This is such a lie. Furthermore, Luthman's arguments regarding misidentification are contradicted by his own exhibits, and his claims regarding improper service are refuted by extensive record of service attempts and proper substitute service. So Luthman displays either an intentional or reckless disregard for judicial proceedings. Indeed. As will be shown across multiple documents, Luthman demonstrates intentional or reckless disregard for judicial proceedings by mocking and refusing to comply with standard service or process, insulting or threatening opposing counsel and parties, proposing or attempting to enforce a quote-unquote trial by combat as a means to dispute resolution despite acknowledging its illegality. That's exactly right. See, this is what I keep talking about. Him bringing up trial by combat, and then him making threats behind it, talking about, how he wants to behead the opposing party, how he would like to be able to kill them. And that is just, it is a paper thin, not so veiled attempt to try to threaten a person. Everyone can see through that. You've had the ecosystem sit around and laugh about it. They talk about all the time. Again, he sits around with other people in this litigation, and they talk about how it's funny for him to discuss wanting to off the other party. I mean, like I said, this is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. And the flagrant disregard for the court, it is mind freaking blowing. But of course, I expect nothing more from paint chips. But still, this idea, though, trial by combat, is such an absurdity. So threatening extrajudicial actions, including complaints to law enforcement and regulatory bodies as alternatives to standard legal remedies. Yep, exactly. Going out, trying to weaponize law enforcement and trying to, again, strip people of their licenses and more as a method to circumvent really any type of lawful process. It's just like I said, all of it's insane. And to let this play out, to have a court that allows this to happen is crazy to me. Using inflammatory, derogatory language and legal correspondence. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff he's put in there about, you remember when he filed once about, he put alligator effort into a filing and then did it again, and they all sit around guffawing and, it's so bizarre. Setting arbitrary and extra legal conditions for participation in judicial process. Yeah, he's tried to set limits on that, but he doesn't know about that. Remember, he doesn't know that this stuff is going on, but he tries to set conditions down for his participation. Treating the court's authority and a process with open contempt and derision. So now it goes through documents that are attached. Now, and this document, actually, let me see what it would take. Just give me 1 minute. Let me look at that document and see what it would take for me to go in and to redact. Let me see how much ever. Some of these are redaction heavy, baby. I mean, they are pretty nasty things. 1 second. Give me 1 minute. God, there's a lot of this stuff. It's amazing to me, by the way, that, you have to do, you look at all the work just to try to bring this crazy person to justice. Isn't it wild? Yeah, so actually that is heavy. Yeah, there's a lot of redaction. I'm going to read it. We'll go over the, with this, by the way, I thought if it's just a page or so, I wouldn't worry about it, but there's about 12 pages. And again, there's a lot of exhibits. So I guess we'll read over and see what's there. And then for exhibits, I'm sure this will take more than, there's a lot of pages anyway, but Luthman's own exhibit filed with the court, where he filed 156-1. You remember his very lengthy document. It was over 100 pages. Like, that's what blew my mind. Like, he filed, again, over 100 freaking pages of filing. And it's insane. It looks like it looks mentally ill. Actually, I can at least show you that, on it. But he filed. So what they're discussing here are actually two documents. You have the main document, which would have been 156, which they're answering, but he had also filed 156-1. This document was 102 pages of material. And there's just so much of it that it's insane. Like, so much of this thing is absolutely insane to go through. But 102 pages of just blather and threats and God, it's a bunch of nuts, just nuts. So, on its own exhibit there, the following instances prove intentional or reckless disregard from judicial proceedings by Luthman, using rifles or confrontational language towards opposing parties or the court. Luthman repeatedly uses intentionally provocative, mocking, or insulting language in formal communications and court filings, referring to opposing counsel and parties with derogatory nicknames such as nincompoops, germ, pocket rocket, and ASS as for ass. He also uses language such as, you are both very, very stupid, very, very weak, body and mind. And again, you got to remember that these are court documents. You should be on your best behavior when the judge is going to look it over. And yet, openly admitting to using the litigation process for non-judicial purposes. So Luthman accuses the plaintiff of using the litigation as drama factory for YouTube content, but also admits to participating in and publicizing the litigation for entertainment and personal branding, including referencing his own podcast and media activities. He describes the litigation as quote-unquote sideshow. Threatens and attempts to leverage judicial process for personal or extrajudicial gain. Luthman threatens to file a Rule 11 and bar complaint if the opposing party files what he deems a quote-unquote knowingly fraudulent proof of service, and conditions his willingness to cure service defects on the firing of opposing counsel, which is not proper use of judicial process. He repeatedly threatens to file complaints with regulatory bodies and to escalate matters to law enforcement, the state, the governor of the state of Florida, and even the president of the United States. Often in a code suggests these are tools for intimidation rather than legal or legitimate remedies. He also includes magistrate belief, though, in most of his correspondence. And that is true. That's 100%. You can look, like at first, there was a question of whether that was indeed the correct mailing address that he was utilizing, because surely not, right? But yeah, it was. It absolutely was the right one for belief, though. So, proposing. Yeah, that's right. Trial by combat. Yeah, I think he means an eating contest. Well, what's funny is he talked all this garbage about, I want to fight him to the end, I want to be able to do this and that. But then in his filings, he's like, or we could have a paintball tournament. A paintball? Are you kidding me? I mean, like I said, he talks all this smack about how he's Billy Bob Badass until. So, proposing and attempting to enforce trial by combat as a dispute resolution mechanism. Luthman asserts that he and the plaintiff have a binding agreement to resolve their dispute by trial by combat, and devotes extensive correspondence and legal argument to the logistics, legality, and terms of such a duel, including weapons, venue, and life insurance. He threatens to seek judicial sanction for a duel and frames this as a serious alternative to litigation, despite acknowledging that such conduct is illegal and not recognized by any U.S. jurisdiction. That's the thing. He's admitting that the conduct, he's making a threat. It is not a veiled threat. It's so he has a vehicle to talk about ending someone. Like that's just, it's so amazing that some of this stuff is allowed. I think some of the people, courts have had their chances to do something about this stuff too, but they've allowed this behavior to continue and to continue. And you're not talking about just some random dude out there either. You're talking about a guy who spends 4 years tucked away. He's been in trouble for multiple things. And despite that, it's more like they're like, well, he's your problem now. It's so bizarre. So disparagement and accusations against officers of the court. We've been accused as opposing counsel of bad faith, drug abuse, unethical conduct, attempting to impugn opposing counsel's credibility in the current proceedings. He refers to process server as a miscreant and questions the veracity of other affidavits, often in a mocking or hostile tone. Expressing open contempt for the court's authority and process. Luthman repeatedly states that he does not intend to avail himself on the court's jurisdiction, refuses to recognize the authority of the Northern District of Florida, and asserts that the court has no jurisdiction over him due to an alleged ADR agreement. He openly states that he will ignore further attempts at service as they are void ab initio. This is, this is one of those arguments that are just so ridiculous. So this stuff is such a clown show and an affront to the FAA. And that the court order are null and void due to his interpretation of the law and alleged ADR agreement. Now, use of the judicial filings and communications for publicity and personal branding. Throughout his exhibit, Luthman includes promotional material for media ventures, podcasts, social media, and his legal correspondence and filings, blurring the line between legal advocacy and self-promotion. Now, disregard for procedural rules and judicial orders. Luthman repeatedly asserts that he will not comply with service unless it is done exactly as he demands, and refuses to accept service at addresses where he is not physically present or where someone inside refuses to answer the door, even after being notified of attempts. Let's see. Also, in this specific email here, Luthman refuses to consent to service, stating, I do not accept or consent to service via email. I have no authorized agents authorized to accept service on my behalf. I demand strict compliance with as per the 11th Circuit precedent, which requires a constitutionally compliant, jurisdictionally achieving act. Luthman repeatedly insults opposing counsel, calling him Pocket Rocket. He calls Mr. Hales a clown, refers to legal service process a disaster caused by the attorney. Luthman sets arbitrary conditions for waiving service, such as demanding the termination of opposing counsel, and threatens to proceed with all available legal avenues if his demands are not met. This is actually very good, you know. This is actually very good with that, you know. Very good there. Thank you, Paupers. I appreciate that. Please be between the girls. Yeah. Adopting this YouTube credit. I feel like so many of you really have. And it's awesome of you all. You know, it is. I feel good that with the kids, like as I get older, just as an aside for a second, as I get older, you know, you worry about the future if something happens then. But I'm like, man, you know, I don't worry about the kids and them going forward. Because if anything ever happened, there are, you know, the extended family out there. It's not a person. There are thousands of people. So, you know, that's very much appreciated. It is, you know, especially like going through health problems and stuff. It is very much appreciated. So, Luthman states your purported notice is rejected toto for all purposes, legal, media, entertainment, and other, showing a blanket refusal to engage with the court process. He accuses the opposing party of harassment and claims you and your clients have harassed others with my name in the state of Florida. You have harassed senior citizen Floridarians, and you want George Zachary Belitho to co-sign your unethical bottom feeder tactics. And you assert your client's 90 days have run. Non-material amendment did not save him. Your client rejected my good faith offer to cure. I'm some, and you and your client can go eat a garden vegetable. Exhibit 7. This is another email where legal demand for $500,000 or expect a counterclaim. You and YouTube to be sued under Florida deplatforming law. Oh my God. Look at this. This is nuts. Like, look at how insane his letters are. So, in his email, he threatens to file lawsuit and regulatory complaints and demands payment under threat of further legal or extra-legal action, including self-help incident with natural law. Luthman refers to the opposing party as paid agitators and co-conspirators and accuses them of crimes against God and man and states Charlie Kirk's blood is on your hand for your hateful and violent rhetoric, including your anti-Semitism and your mobilization of a cancel culture mob. Like that, does that not sound like absolute? Like this, I feel like we deal with we're scooping up mental illness by the handful. You know, I mean, seriously. Good God, you know, they just throw in anything they can. I mean, this isn't just mental midgetry. This is moral midgetry as well. It's so insane. all showing that Luthman uses inflammatory language rather than legal argument. Also, I missed the part about the eggplant emoji is commonly used as a gesture symbol for male genitalia. I'm going to have to clip that and just post it. I'm like, man, some of the things you see in filings are just so wild. This has been a good filing, though. It has been. So Luthman demands that YouTube and Alphabet Inc. deplatform the opposing party or face litigation, and sets a 10-day deadline for compliance, threatening immediate suit if his demands are not met. Yeah, so he's telling YouTube and Google that they will deplatform Hales or else. I mean, it's nuts, right? Here, he also stated that YouTube Legal and Judge Bolitho are copied here too. YouTube and Alphabet Inc. are hereby also on formal notice. YouTube and Hales are business partners, and YouTube provided Hales with a designated relationship manager. What an idiot. Luthman asserts, too, if you refuse or fail to fully satisfy these demands within 10 days, I will take that as your final decision and immediately proceed to file a lawsuit without further notice, showing a willingness to use the threat of litigation as leverage rather than good faith effort to resolve disputes. Exhibit 8. This would be, what was the date on that, by the way? So, wait. After 10 days, in good Lord, in September of 2025, he said, do this in 10 days or I'm going to sue you. Where's the suit? I'm just curious about that. Email by him on 9/26/2025. FBI complaint, paid internet agitator Jeremy Hales, federal fraud filing, elder abuse. So in that, Luthman accuses opposing counsel of filing a, quote, knowingly false affidavit in federal court and of, quote, fraud on the court, and claims that the attorney violated his duty of candor to the tribunal and engaged in dishonest, deceitful conduct. He escalates the matter by submitting complaints to the FBI and the Florida bar rather than addressing the alleged procedural issues through standard judicial channels. And the tone and content, Luthman suggests a willingness to bypass or undermine the court authority by seeking external intervention. Another one here, this is 10/20/25. It's RE legal framework and proposed declaratory judgment, trial by combat agreement. In this, Luthman proposes resolving legal disputes through trial by combat, a method not recognized by any U.S. jurisdiction, and prepares a declaratory judgment action to seek court sanction for such a duel. Luthman acknowledges that no jurisdiction, state or federal within the United States permits a duel by prior agreement, and that consent to bodily harm or death is not a defense to homicide or assault, yet continues to pursue this course. Indeed, like I said, it's not even a veiled threat. They are threats. That's just insane. Luthman threatens to enforce the agreement by way of a duel unless the opposing party publicly withdraws the offer in a humiliating manner, ending with, do this not, and you will face me mano a mano, and ultimately your final demise into the pit of hell. That doesn't even sound cool, man. Like, if you're gonna, he thinks it sounds cool, you can tell. I sound like a man, but he doesn't even sound cool with that. If you're going to talk shit, at least make it sound awesome. Luthman refers to the legal process as a legal nullity due to the alleged agreement for trial by combat, suggesting that all pending litigation is superseded by the extrajudicial agreement. Luthman repeatedly insults opposing party, calling them very, very stupid, very, very weak, body and mind, and threatens, if both parties insist, that the only death settle the matter of honor, that raises the ethical and legal severity. This guy runs, by the way, from service, process of service. This guy, if there was any way whatsoever that somebody could face him on a field of combat, that would not happen. It would not happen. You know, it's easy to pretend to be a man when you think that there's no way that something, you know, again, the court is his shield there. So he can pretend, oh yeah, I would do it if, yeah, right. Sure, man, sure. Luthman openly discusses the criminal consequences of proceeding with a duel, including potential murder charges, but continues to advocate for the event, showing reckless disregard for the law and judicial process. So Exhibit 10, another email, 11/24/2025. Notice of service pursuant to, In this email, Luthman openly mocks the service of process, again, calling the attorney a legal nincompoop and suggesting that the attorney's acts are so egregious that they're going to be explained by drug use or bad faith. Luthman threatens to file complaints with law enforcement, regulatory bodies, and even the President of the United States if opposing counsel files what he calls knowingly fraudulent proof of service in bad faith. Luthman asserts that there has been, quote, no constitutionally compliant jurisdiction achieving event to trigger notice to me, and claims that service through the Secretary of State is ineffective because he's not evading service and is available. Yeah, sure. He questions the validity of the summons, asking which Richard Luthman, suggesting a willful refusal to acknowledge the court's process. He states, quote, why are you sending me wholly ineffective anyway? What you are sending me, rather, is wholly ineffective anyway, and you have failed to serve me with papers because of your own sloth and negligence and because of your client's fear, indicating a dismissive attitude toward the service process. Yeah, kiddo, I heard you coming. What's up? Hey, you want to do me a favor real quick?
What?
You want to take over for just a second? I got to go grab something real quick.
Yes,
Can you take over for a second?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. What? Yes, sir. What was up with that?
Because you are.
Oh, man, I know, but you just always yes man me, you know?
Sometimes I can say yes, sir.
Yeah, well, that's very nice of you. So talk for me for a second. I'm grabbing something real quick. Can you talk?
Okay.
All right, talk. Talk. Make sure to hold it down.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Talk to everybody there. Ask them how they're doing today.
How are you doing today?
Tell them how your day has been.
It's been good.
What have you been doing today?
Been watching TV because my leg hurts.
Oh, man. Has it been fun?
Yeah. I hope my leg doesn't hurt.
Did you tell them about the mouse?
We had a mouse in our sink and we had a mouse in my room. We got one in our mouse trap and we got one in our sink.
Man, you did very good holding that down for me.
Yeah.
I had to get my medicine. It was in the.
And have a good day on my dad's live stream.
All right. Well, thank you. That was great.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad at all. You did great. Good job. Good job, girlie.
Good job. I need to put a
The
timer.
other way. I can't sit down.
I
There
need
you
to
go.
put a timer for 3 minutes.
Do what now?
I need to put a timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes for now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, your phone is all the way charged up that you want to use, right?
Yeah.
So look, what we do is we go to the clock. Man.
Yes.
Well, we have to go to the clock, right? So
What?
we go to the clock. That's what this is, right? And we go to 3 minutes. I've got it set. And you just push the button.
0.
Yeah. See, it's counting down and it'll go off. All right. Thank you, baby. Appreciate that. You go have fun, okay? Sorry, I had to go get medication out of the back room. I was like, well, thank you.
And
Yeah, you did a great job. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, man. S. Shine sent you $5 and said you were a great host, too.
When I go up to a total, when you die, you know.
When I'm not on the...
I'll live in here forever.
Oh, you're going to live here forever and you're going to be you're going to do this stuff when you grow up? Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I will be a good host.
Yeah, you are a good host. It's great. Hey.
And I'm not going to talk about the stuff that.
Hey, Bradley the Sloth told you did a great job. Sent you $2. Andre earlier sent you money as well. too. That's awesome, right?
Thank you. How many?
Yeah, I will have to go back and look. But hey, go upstairs so I can keep going with this, okay, baby?
Okay.
Oh, and you had Liz sent $14 too. Thank you. Wow. Yeah. So you got some money for some stuff too. And you did it, and you did a good job. Well, thank you, baby. You go do your thing, okay?
Okay. You too.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.
She loves to get on the microphone, but you can tell like she's not used to being on it. So she doesn't know what to say, in the moment. So that's why I tell her like what to talk about. Because she's I'll put the headphones on her. You can't see her in the moment, but she'll sit down in my chair and I put the headphones on her. She adjusts the mic, because that's what I do. I'll lean back and stuff, I'll adjust the mic. So she's doing the same thing. She sits back and adjusts the headphones. It's really fun to watch. It's cute. Man, thank you, Spirit Walker, there too. Yeah, they're good kids. Both the girls are. All right. So here we go. All right, continuing this wondrous document. So Luthman further states that the service is effective through the Secretary of State because I'm right here. I'm not avoiding service. And as shown above, his acts undermine the integrity of judicial proceedings and demonstrate a willful or reckless disregard for the rule of law. Luthman's actions collectively reflect a pattern of intentional or reckless disregard for the seriousness, decorum, and orderly process of judicial proceedings. Now, Luthman's request for relief from default should be denied because of Luthman's he defaulted by displaying either an intentional or reckless disregard for the judicial proceedings. Yeah, so he shouldn't be. The whole argument here is dude doesn't, he's willfully disregarding and disrespecting this process. And he did that and ended up having a default judgment against him. And they're saying, well, you look at all this stuff he's done. He's making a mockery, a clown show of your court. The default should stand. That's what the argument is. So all of this means that Luthman's request for relief from default should be denied. Plaintiff have more than adequately shown that Luthman willfully defaulted by displaying either an intentional or reckless disregard for judicial proceedings. As a result, quote, the court need make no other finding in denying relief. Luthman has also failed to present a plausible explanation for the default. In noting case law here, quote, in considering whether a party has established sufficient good cause to set aside a default under Rule 55C, the factors generally considered by courts are whether the defaulting party has presented a plausible explanation for the default or whether the default was willful, whether setting aside the default would cause undue prejudice to the opposing party, and whether the defaulting party has presented a meritorious defense. Now, also here, again, the, quote, initial task is to determine whether the defaulting party has presented a plausible explanation for the default. Nothing in Luthman's motion comes even remotely close to a plausible explanation. It reads like mental illness. It's my opinion on it. So his delay caused by his default has obviously hampered plaintiff's ability to obtain discovery. Because Luthman is part of a conspiracy against the plaintiffs through his delay, he has now secured ample opportunity to destroy and or conceal evidence, which may also be more difficult to prove given this lengthy delay. Even a modest degree of prejudice to a non-defaulting party weighs against setting aside a default, particularly when combined with other factors, such as the absence of good reason for the default. To determine if a non-defaulting party was prejudiced, courts examine whether the delay made it impossible for the non-defaulting party to present some of the evidence, made it more difficult for the non-defaulting party to proceed with trial, hampered the non-defaulting party's ability to complete discovery, and was used by the defaulting party to collude or commit a fraud. That's interesting, huh? So in looking at determination, there's a few items there that, Now, Luthman's alternative dispute resolution argument is meritless. So his claim that the parties agreed to alternative dispute resolution is unsupported by any credible evidence. The alleged quote-unquote agreement appears to be based on a YouTube video and unilateral comments from Luthman, not a mutual agreement between parties. Moreover, Paintchip's characterization of the purported agreement as a trial by combat demonstrates the frivolous nature of this agreement. Luthman's motion to argue for failure to state a claim should be denied. So Luthman's argument that the second amended complaint fails to state a claim is premature and procedurally improper. After a default, a defendant cannot contest the plaintiff's factual allegations. The argument here, the second amended complaint satisfies the, well, what is that? They're the pleading standards. My brain today. My brain. I was like, wait a minute. Luthman generally denies all. You can tell some days. I do it better than other days, but you can tell some days, like all of this stuff that I've been dealing with, it makes it sometimes the processing. It's like processing through a wall of fog. So doing pretty good with it, but some words and stuff, I'm like, what in the world did I just say? Luthman generally denies all acts against him. Luthman states he did not defame the plaintiffs, did not make false statements of fact, did not engage in tortious interference, did not use speech as a deceptive trade practice, did not conspire with others to do so. He asserts he never violated Florida's sexual cyber harassment statute, and that plaintiffs do not have a private cause of action for such claims. As will be shown, the arguments are without merit. When considering a motion to dismiss, this court must accept a well-pleaded allegations in the complaint as true and view them in the light most favorable to the plaintiff, not to paint chips. That's right. Moreover, Luthman, being in default, cannot contest the plaintiff's factual allegations. This means Luthman's general denials are of no assistance to him. A complaint need only contain, quote, a short and plain statement of the claim showing that the pleader is entitled to relief and provide the defendant with fair notice of what the claim is and the grounds upon which it rests. A complaint should not be dismissed for failure to state a claim unless it appears beyond a doubt that the plaintiff can prove no set of facts in support of the claims which would entitle him to relief. Let's look at the footnote here. Now, again, under our standard, is a complaint must contain sufficient factual matter accepted as true to state a claim for relief that is plausible on its face. The complaint need not contain detailed factual allegations, but must provide more than labels and conclusions or a formulaic recitation of the elements of a cause of action. That makes sense. So the complaint contains specific factual allegations against Paint Chips. Contrary to Paint Chips' assertions, the second amended complaint contains specific allegations against him. So, you're talking about satisfying standard. There you go. It does not merely lump him together with other defendants, but identifies his specific conduct. Paragraph 162 of the second amended complaint alleges that on January 28, 2025, Luthman wrote an email to the ADL, that would be the Anti-Defamation League. Yeah, he not only did that, but he did live streams and stuff along with, by the way, Ray. That's where Ray ended up doxing his real name, by the way. He was sitting on a stream. He was laughing and having a fun time with Paint Chips and with Vomit, as they talked about contacting the ADL. They were pulling up stuff on that. And it's wild because Ray, he did it under his real name. He had it on, I guess, when he signed in. Sometimes, like if you use some of these services, you don't name yourself. The account, if he's used it in the past, it will automatically attribute the name that he's used before. So if he, he could have used, he actually could have signed himself in as that, but also he could have signed into a platform that he had already previously named, or it could have been a different one than he normally utilizes that he's used before. I always wonder how that happened for him, though. But Luthman wrote to the ADL making specific false statements about Mr. Hales, including accusations of anti-Semitism and wickedness. You know. Paragraph 163 alleges that on January 26, he wrote an email to the YouTube channel That Umbrella Guy containing additional false statements about Mr. Hales, including that Hales gets paid for coverage in a combination of quid pro quo, traffic, sex, and or candy, and falsely labeling Hales an anti-Semite. More significantly, paragraph 164 alleges that Luthman posted a revenge prawn video of Mr. Hales as, the Yahtzee leader, adding the Yahtzee leader's mustache to Mr. Hales' photo. You can actually see this, by the way, on one of the videos. What page is this? 29. You can see. Sorry about rolling like this, but you can see him utilize that. I noticed when we were going past these, you have a little Hales. See it right there? He's doing that. And that's where he started doing that because he was calling him a Yahtzee. He was saying that, again, you notice how they all fall in line. Like I said with these people, why in the fuck would you fall in line with these other folks? Like if I were being sued, you notice there's certain people that have popped out of that and they just don't have anything to do with these folks. Even the people who brought them in, you notice they don't publicly have anything to do with these folks. That's what always kills me about like Lips. And again, her lawyer, yesterday, they go on a live stream and he's pulling up all these crazy images in the backdrop, including the revenge prawn thing. Now, they want to argue that isn't what that is. But I'm telling you, that would be an argument that I would not want to test out. Because if you lose, then you have a real problem. But they think everything is fine. I mean, this guy's already been provably banned on this platform. That already shows that the platform itself has said that video that he's showing clips from, that video it's banned because of its sexual relations and because it is harassing. They banned him off of YouTube for it. And again, he opens up other accounts, but he's banned. He has a ban on him. So to bring him on where that has already been concluded as a lawyer, I mean, that's just insanity. I cannot freaking understand. Again, all of that in this attempt, they're like, oh, you'll get monetized. You'll be paying all that money to somebody else. Fun times with that. I mean, what a bunch of nut jobs, man. But the allegations are specific, detailed, and particularized to Luthman's individual conduct. They identify the who, what, false statements, and sexual, explicit, altered images, when, the specific dates, January 2025, where, emails and online posts, and how, by sending emails and posting content online, which he's never done. Again, that satisfies the standard here. And it says, what the whole point in this isn't just some garbage item that you have factual content, something that the court can draw reasonable inference that Luthman is liable for misconduct alleged. So the complaint is not a shotgun pleading. Luthman characterizes the Second Amendment complaint as a shotgun pleading is incorrect. A shotgun pleading is one that incorporates every antecedent allegation by reference in each subsequent claim for relief or affirmative defense. The 11th Circuit has identified several types of shotgun pleadings, including those that fail to connect specific facts or claims to particular defendants. The Second Amendment complaint avoids these pitfalls. And the way that it does that is by organizing allegations into numbered paragraphs as required by Rule 10 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Give me a second. By the way, tonight, just noting the auction, the tie lot, that was discussed, it'll probably come up about 9. I think the thing starts at 9, so it'll be up about not terribly far into it, but a little bit into it. So keep an eye out if you want to see the tie thing with or the regatta, he's talking about. I want to keep an eye out for that, see what happens with it. I'm curious about it now. So anyway, the second amended complaint avoids these pitfalls by organizing allegations into numbered paragraphs as required by Rule 10b of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, specifically identifying Luthman's individual conduct into paragraphs 162 to 164, clearly stating the legal bias for each count against Luthman, count 15 for civil conspiracy and count 16 for sexual cyber harassment, and connecting the factual allegations to legal claims by incorporating only relevant paragraphs in each count. The complaint satisfies Rule 10b by stating its claims in numbered paragraphs, each limited as far as practicable, to a single set of circumstances. It is not indiscriminately incorporate all preceding allegations into each count, which would be the hallmark of a shotgun pleading. See, this is a good breakdown. They throw around words. You see the ecosystem throw around the word shotgun proceeding, which you would think certain people in the ecosystem, as practitioners of law, know what a shotgun pleading is because they have had things kicked out of court because they have filed shotgun pleadings. So they should know better than to just, complain that anything that's filed is a shotgun pleading. They have firsthand knowledge of what a shotgun pleading is. Like I said, they've made their own. Oh, what a bunch of idiots. Count 15 properly states a claim for civil conspiracy. To state a cause of action for civil conspiracy under Florida law, a plaintiff must plead 1, an agreement between 2 parties or more; 2, to do an unlawful act or a lawful act by unlawful means; 3, the execution of some overt act in pursuit of a conspiracy; and 4, damage to the plaintiff as a result of said acts. Now, they note case law here. In pleading conspiracy, the plaintiff must further identify an actionable underlying tort or wrong. Oh, I gotta have a drink. Give me a second. Also, other case law here. The conspiracy is merely the vehicle by which the underlying tort was committed, and the allegations of conspiracy permit the plaintiff to hold each conspirator jointly liable for the actions of the co-conspirators. Now, plaintiff's second amended complaint identifies 3 separate underlying causes of action, each of which makes it unlawful to engage in conduct that deceives and harms consumers and or seeks to drive someone out of business or otherwise harm their business through the use of false or misleading commercial speech or interference with their business relations. Those 3 underlying claims are, again, we know about tortious interference with advantageous business relations. We've discussed that. Again, there was the Lanham Act. So you have your violations here, the acts that go with it. So essentially, though, again, you have I hate going through this, FDUPTA, the Lanham Act. So you have, again, 3. D. If you've never read that filing, by the way, it's a very interesting filing. I've never seen the Lanham Act pursued. Now, all 3 are alleged against defendant Lee. Count 15 for civil conspiracy is specifically against Luthman, and the essential facts supporting the necessary allegations for that claim are mostly concentrated in paragraphs 162 through 169 of the complaint. When it comes to alleging a claim for conspiracy, Florida law is clear that each co-conspirator need only know of the scheme and assist in some way to be held responsible for the acts of his co-conspirators. See, this is a problem for them too. See, with a conspiracy, if they are found guilty of it, Florida law makes it very clear. Co-conspirators, as part of that, when you're talking about a conspiracy, they need only know of the scheme and assist in some way to be held responsible for all the acts of the co-conspiracy. So not just for what they do, but for what everyone else is doing. See, that's the kicker with that. So again, they're playing at a very high level of potential. God, I mean, I cannot believe, like, some of the ecosystem wants to pretend that they're not afraid of this, but you can tell through some of their actions that they are horrified by this whole thing. Certain ones of them, it's funny because certain ones of these idiots are starting to become vocal again. You think they got smart enough to shut the F up for a minute, but nope, absolutely not. Intelligence plus, that doesn't stick around. And again, they may be comfortable in the fact that they're going to win. And that doesn't mean you have to shut up about the person. It just means when they've been participating in this insanity where they can't look at some of these actions, at some of the things that people like paint chips do, and they can't say, hey, that's pretty messed up. I mean, that's what blows my mind with some of these people, how disingenuous they are. Because they know if some of this stuff were aimed at them. Now, can you imagine Stupid Dave, for example, if even like a fraction of what we have seen aimed at Hales was aimed at him? If people accused him, like look at what Leslie has been pulling. Imagine that pointed at Dave. Dave would have a fucking meltdown. He would claim it was, aimed at his mental health and that people had tried to ruin his life. It would be absolutely insane to watch. They get a little taste of stuff, and yet. So anyway, so you see all of citations. So count 15 properly alleges that paint chips participated in a civil conspiracy with the other defendants. The second amended complaint alleges that 1, Luthman agreed with other defendants to participate in a civil conspiracy to commit violations of Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act, false advertising under the Lanham Act, and tortious interference with advantageous business relationships. 2, Luthman and the other defendants acted in concert and coordinated in furtherance of common scheme. 3, Luthman knew of the scheme and assisted in it by engaging in conscionable, unfair, deceptive acts, making false and misleading representations, interfering with plaintiff's business relationships. And 4, as a result of the conspiracy, plaintiff suffers damage. I mean, again, when you look at this claim, they keep talking about, you have one of these people, they claim something terrible. Oh no, essay. And there was a video where, Jeremy Hales and his private parts. All of them pick it up. Every one of them. And they run with it. And look at how again, these people, it's amazing to me. Like if I wanted to cover this stuff, say I did not like Hales at all. And in that, I wanted to cover this, but I would not loop in with those people. There is no freaking way in hell. Because a lot of what they do is just absolutely insane. The complaint further alleges specific overt acts by Luthman in furtherance of the conspiracy, including sending emails containing false statements about plaintiff to the ADL, That Umbrella Guy YouTube channel, and posting altered sexual explicit images of Mr. Hales online. These allegations satisfy the pleading requirements for civil conspiracy by showing that Luthman agreed with others to harm plaintiff through unlawful means, committed overt actions in furtherance of that agreement, and caused damage to plaintiffs as a result. I'm going to go 7 more minutes, and then we're going to hit super chats. We're very close. Actually, we've powered through 32 or 33 pages almost. It's crazy. As the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals recently reiterated, an agreement to engage in civil conspiracy, quote, need not be expressed in words. It may be implied and understood to exist from the conduct itself. Here, in Auto Candies, the complaint alleged inter alia a conspiracy by defendants to violate RICO, noting that, quote, a bare assertion of conspiracy will not suffice to prove a RICO conspiracy. The court stated that plaintiffs, quote, need not offer direct evidence of a RICO agreement, and the existence of conspiracy may be inferred from the conduct of the participants. That's interesting, isn't it? You don't actually have to have an agreement per se. You can infer that from the conduct of these people. Again, when you have one come up with some of these horrible, like I said, there's a level of mockery. Calling somebody fat or stupid or whatever. Then there is a next level. Alleging that someone did something so awful and heinous. And at the same time, noting that they all have been in conspiracy. They talked about how they conspired to ruin him. That's what amazes me. Like, Libs has been a godsend for some of these freaking cases, because she has Lisa talking about how she conspired with these people so they could set him up and cause problems in other items. They want to do harm to him. They want to harm his reputation. They want to take his business down. And they have tried hard. So the plaintiffs in Auto Candies pleaded 6 factors to allege that Citigroup agreed to conspire with USA to engage in a pattern of racketeering activity. Citigroup and OSA's business relationship, their mutual financial gain from racketeering activity, the joint fraudulent misrepresentation and omissions, their dependency on each other's fraudulent conduct to prolong the scheme, and Citigroup's then CEO's quote-unquote admission that certain employees were, quote, criminally involved in the scheme, and Mexican regulators' conclusion that Citigroup employees or agents, quote, knowingly engaged in a fraudulent scheme with USA. That's crazy. I need to read that entire case. I think I want to read that. Reversing the district court's order of dismissal, the court stated that plaintiffs pleaded ample circumstantial evidence to support the allegations that Citigroup plausibly agreed to conspiracy. Although ample circumstantial evidence is not required here, plaintiffs have alleged sufficient facts to demonstrate that Paint Chips and other defendants knew of a scheme to destroy or take down plaintiffs' business and ability to earn income on YouTube, while they deceived consumers into donating money in order to assist Preston, but the money instead being pocketed by other co-defendants in this case did not reach Preston. Yeah, what's fun is if this case does indeed get to the point that you actually see evidence. Again, we have recordings of her saying, yes, this is what happened. You have Preston stating that. That's true. Don't forget, Luthman has also accused a judge in Ohio of judicial homicide. Yeah, this dude is a nut, man. He is. And what's crazy is, again, you're talking about somebody that already, what blows my mind is the image you have in your head of how the system supposedly works, right? And then the reality of it. You can have somebody that's gone to prison for years over fraud and extortion. And then have something like this, where it reeks of extortion. You've got a guy that's, again, writing and demanding money or else, or this or that. And, it just looks like business as usual by that person. And the system allows it. It's nuts. It is absolutely fucking nuts. Look at what you have to go through in order to try to head this stuff off. Again, like I said, with lips, for example, look at all the stuff she's done. And, you know, one of the things that's delayed, by the way, as far as an amended complaint, I'm glad, you know, I had a couple of days delayed because I wasn't feeling good. So I was pulling up portions that had happened with, you know, all this new craziness. I was going to pull it all together. And I didn't have a chance to finish it before the weekend. So I figured at the end of the weekend, which now I've put it all together. I've got Megan looking at it, making sure that everything's good to go, because she's very good at that, by the way. She's very good at going through and, you know, adding in finishing touches to that kind of stuff. She does a damn good job with that stuff. I do want to give her, you know, I give her a hard time. I goof off with her a lot, but man, she's really good at what she does, you know. Always. So anyway, if I would have finished that by now, you know, if we would have been heard by the courts already, we wouldn't have, like, the claims, the stuff that, like, I myself have now. It's crazy. On top of it, her alleging now, after saying that I was not she didn't know if I was involved in this quote unquote school business, now suggesting that I contacted a school, when I made it clear, like I said, in the aftermath, after she alleged that she reported myself and others to the police, I contacted the police, which I have every right to do. She's going to try to say that somehow has to do it. Well, that's good. You know, it just gives me more weight there. But those allegations that she made, the stuff she pointed at Megan, and then last night, I mean, again, you imagine you have claims of revenge porn against you. So your answer has been to create more videos tied into that same item, and then have the dude on that there were claims about you distributing that, and you do it again. You have them on again, and they're already banned on the platform. Imagine this insanity. These people, like I said, they never ask themselves why they don't get banned on these platforms. With this, I guess they think that you can just get away with anything, but that's not how it works. It's that they are just evidence creation machines, and if you let them sit out there, they will just continue. Okay, I'm going to stop right here at 34 because I have about an hour, and then Hales has his live stream. I know it. Otherwise, it will take me forever. I'm very proud. We got all the way to 34 pages. That is pretty damn good. You have to admit, that's pretty good for me. You know, but I need the time for super chats. So let's do it. Okay. Now this is awesome. Look, Lady Blue Hawaiian dropped in. First of all, I'm going to give the shout out for the membership because I love saying these. I love it. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your membership and welcome to Tug's Thugs. I love saying that. So thank you. And on top of that, dropped 20 gifted memberships. That's amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it. And look at that. I appreciate gifted memberships. They're awesome. You know, it is a message to not just the channel, but to people out there too. So thank you very much. MaxLab, appreciate the super chat there. Again, you know, no statement attached. Plenty of statement there. Appreciate it. You know, also do not end up, folks, do not buy all of those freaking, like, the documents for this. I've got plenty of sources for documents for anyone. I've noted that before. And if you plan on getting them, that's okay. But for this, there's 10 freaking additions to it. So folks, you know, those things will, once I get everything, I'll get it off the docket myself. And I mean, if you want to get them, you can, but if there is something like that, you don't have to get that, folks. You know, I've got this, so I will make sure that other people get that too. All right. I got to get all the exhibits for this. I will have them soon though. I'll pull them all down and put them out there for you folks. Audrey, thanks for the 21 months. Always happy to support making the anti-what the hell's mad. Indeed. Listening, but in serious pain today. Oh man, well, love to you. You know what? Absolutely. I get it too. Despite medication today, I've been lightheaded, crazy. And I'm like, oh, it just hit me today. I get you. But Love to you, for real. And much love to all my Muppet family. Thank you. Thank you for sure. Cindy, thank you for the gifted membership there. Again, thank you very much for gifted memberships. They're awesome and so appreciated. Puzzler, thanks for the 2. Tug went across the room. Now I feel abandoned. I know. I always wonder how the mic picks up when I walk across the room. How does it pick up okay? Can you still hear me while I'm walking? I realize it fades because I'm walking away from the mic, but I wonder if you can still hear me enough as I walk so you can still keep up with what I'm saying. Thank you too. I'm back by now too. So thank you. Fallen Hero, drop that gifted membership. And I feel like I say this all the time, but I mean it, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate the people that are constants. There are mods that are out there that are constants. There are specific people out there. Thank you all. Thank you to you too, buddy. Always. Frankie, look at that. Dropped in 10 giftos. So right there with just a handful of people, on this, we're right on 35 gifted memberships. Thank you, Frankie. That is awesome and much appreciated. Adair, thanks for the 5. Tug, you need to send Nick a reminder. I got on that, by the way. Thank you. And again, all you people, if you didn't hear about it, Randy, the tie from the depot, the Lynette depot, it will be up on auction for whatnot. I think that will be fun to check out. I think that's awesome, by the way. I haven't found that one specific. Every case I have like a series of trophies, I suppose is the best way to go with it. But I haven't found that one specific trophy off of this stuff. I mean, I will keep a certain, I guess, decisions I'm sure the court will make in my own case. I will keep those as trophies. I might actually, what would be really fun? I thought about doing this once we get our win, which again, look at who we're facing. I thought about getting autograph from each person, and putting one up for myself and maybe auctioning off one, help with costs and everything. I thought that would be fun. We'll see that. Jackswell, thanks to 2. I think she knows what she wants. Cute. Yeah, she's very cute. She's a cutie. She knows it. And yes, she absolutely knows exactly what she wants. She's after something to bark about. Hey, how you doing, my friend? Appreciate you. And thank you for the gifted membership there. Much appreciate you. I really like your videos. Max Lab, thanks for the 2 there. Yeah, Cook was at the schoolhouse recording Willis. Yes, that's the kicker in there they like to leave out again is that John Cook, when he's been, he's just flagrantly going around and he's recording places that, again, he's assuming that the people that have the protective order against him are not at the business at this commercial, but you're not supposed to go around engaging in their, and messing with their business and all that. Again, read protective orders. It's amazing what you're not supposed to do and these people do. Just blows my mind. But yeah, they admit to this. That's the craziest thing. Paul, thanks for the 5 there. Hey, Tug, I've been able to pick up the package. I see. Well, can you write me and note exactly which package? I apologize. Like when I get something, sometimes I don't know who sent what, and I always want to shout you guys out too. And thank you. I picked up a couple. I've not had a chance to open. There was something recently that I photographed like a couple of cards, but there was one larger package I've not had a chance to open yet. But I'm curious if you would, like I said, write me, because I also like to thank you, if you do send something. And, I'm eternally grateful for you folks too. But yeah, just like I said, hit me up on my email if you would, please. Emma, thanks for the 2. I thought you said panty chips instead of panty chips. Yeah, I doubt he's ever been near the panty chips. Blah, gross. Thanks for the 5. Laura Owens, bankruptcy trustee, brought in the DOJ attorney due to hidden assets. Yes, that's exactly what, these people are playing a very dangerous game. They think, and again, their spin has been amazing. It has been. They are actually telling their audience that the reason that the trustee, that all this stuff has come up is because Hales is going to be investigated and they're going to go after his assets. It was like, how? How in your mind do you think that is going to, because of, I forget what they said, because of, God, what was the word? I wrote it down. Just give me a second here. They had a specific word, and I thought, "You've got to be kidding me!" Just give me a second, because it was like pain or suffering, or it was one of these stupid things that I thought, you can't be serious. Are you really trying to say? Yeah. So they were saying that they could go after because of damages caused. That's right, damages caused. And I thought, what damages? Where have you ever seen anything where she is entitled to damages ever? Oh, it's just nuts. Oh, these people. Intimidator, man. Love you, brother. Gosh, 2019, my friend. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the 10. Hey, Tuck, hope you're doing well. By the way, do you know what you can say about a bird that's trying to quit smoking by getting into a freezer? I can see this thing coming out. That is trying to quit cold turkey. That's funny, man. But I appreciate you, brother. It's good to see you, man. 2019. It makes me feel old. You know what I mean? When I think about it, I'm like, man, 7 years and counting. It's amazing. Something to bark about. Thanks to the 20 there. Went to my first dog show of the year. That's awesome. Adding lots of dog show videos. Please show the girls. I will for sure. And people check out, again, Something to Bark About. I think Something to Bark About as a fun channel. Something to just disengage the stupid and the insanity and just go enjoy yourself. Sometimes it's great. So check them out. And subscribe to, for sure. Subscribe to their channel. Andre, thanks for the 5 there. Here's some candy money and lip gloss for the girls. Thank you. I told her that you'd send over something, by the way. I couldn't pull my screen up. The reason I did it that way is because I had paint chip documents on the freaking thing, and there was no way in hell I was going to pull my screen up while the kids were out, So I did that little dance around that. But I appreciate you. Is that Palmer Archers, even though it's wrong? Homestead. Thanks for the 5. Got home from Lakeland last night. I'm recuperating today. Fell asleep on you, Mr. Coop, last night. We'll have to play catch up later. Well, hey, love to you, my friend. You recuperate. That's important. And then just catch up. I thought, by the way, the Mr. Coop stream was really good. We spent a lot of time. We spent like 3.5 hours BSing. And it didn't feel like that, It felt a lot shorter than that. It was a good live stream. I enjoyed it. Suzanne, thanks for the 5 there. Thanks for having Coop on yesterday. Really enjoyed it in time for me. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, I like having Mr. Coop on. It was a lot of fun. I want to have Rosalind on again, too. By the way, Tina did an interview. This really pissed off the fats. So Tina did an interview. She was talking to Rosalind. If you missed it, you should definitely go back and check it out. And they were, last night, they said a lot of very untruthful bullshit. But, one of their claims was that that there was this conspiracy this entire time. And that Lynette, everything that Tina did was to play her. Lynette, always in these things, she tries to, they always try to showcase her as a victim, unless it's coming after one of them. They were like, oh, they used the anger that Lynette had and tried to get her to come after me. Oh, no. She wanted other people to come after you, and she tried to recruit people to do it. So the fuck you say. She tried so hard to get people to take the fat down. And the only problem is that, you know, she very well could have done it too, but she wants to play a game. She doesn't want that. She wanted leverage. That's what it felt like. She wants a leverage over these people because they messed up and they know it. They absolutely know it. But thank you. Appreciate you. Rickles, thanks for 13 months. Litigation privilege does not extend any privilege outside of the filing. It most definitely does not include social media. These people are crazy. He's crazy, you know. Let's here. In a lawsuit, someone is asserting they can call someone an alligator effort and disparage them sexually due to litigation privilege. I'm gonna say 1 second. Give me a second. They say that means since they were sued, they can't be sued again. What do you have to say on that? Let's see what they say on it. So the argument is basically, Your Honor, I activated litigation God mode, therefore I'm immune from consequences, which is not how anything works. The short but funny truth is litigation privilege is a seatbelt, not a monster truck. It protects relevant statements made in the course of litigation, not drive-by insults, sexual slurs, or creative reptile erotica. Calling someone an alligator effer isn't a legal argument, evidence, advocacy, or anything a court needs to hear. It's just yelling nonsense while wearing a lawsuit like a bathrobe. Being sued does not grant a purge night. You don't get to say, well, I was sued, so I can defame people forever. That's like claiming I had a parking ticket, so now I'm allowed to rob banks. I actually like that comparison. Courts respond to that with silence, potentially followed by sanctions. Litigation privilege does not equal an insult license. It covers things like pleadings, motions, testimony, statements relevant to a case. It does not cover sexual disparagement, unrelated slurs, name calling, middle school bathroom insults, statements made to the public online or for harassment. Judges are many things, but they're not impressed by Florida man Mad Libs. And the you can't sue me again part, that's adorable. You can absolutely sue again when statements are outside litigation. It's irrelevant, malicious, repeated, or just plain defamatory. Each new defamatory statement is like a fresh cupcake. Unfortunately for them, the frosting is liability. So the bottom line is litigation privilege does not turn your mouth into a legal no-fault zone. It does not excuse sexual slander. And it definitely does not protect people who confuse court filings with Reddit comments at 3 a.m. If someone's defense boils down to, I was sued, therefore I may now say anything, the court's usual response is, well, sit down, stop talking. Why did you think that was smart? I like that. That's a good answer. You know, sometimes the answers are stupid, but that was a pretty good one. I liked it. Thank you. That was actually a very good and timely note as well. Give me a second. Let me fix my picture's all jacked up here. My screen is weird and shrunken up. Anyway, I'll fix it later. Sorry. Who's your daddy? Thanks for the two. Tubby's always eating when he addresses Hales. Shocker. I know. Isn't that interesting? JC, thanks for two. If you send me the doc, I'll redact it for tomorrow. It's a lot of doc, you know. If you want to, though, I don't care. Just write me. Drop me a line and note redaction on the top, and I have fun with that. Who's your daddy? Thanks for the two. Trial by combat. I think he means an eating combat. Yeah, it's like a, you know, is it combat when you eat pie? You know, how does that work? What's up, Palmer? Again, I'm just going to call you Archer's Homestead. You know that it's wrong, but I know it's wrong, but I love it. It's kind of like almost like a nickname these days. Thank you for the 20 there. Please split between the girls. Definitely. Mr. Togglesworth, you've done a wonderful job with them. Thank you. may adopt them as my YouTube granddaughters. I watched while I was away, just mostly lurked, and thank you for all you do. Yes, of course. Like I said, all you folks out there, you know, there are some great people. And one of the things I really appreciate about a lot of you is, you know, we see the negatives too online, and we don't see a lot of positives. And that, just like in life, after a while, you know, that kind of gets to you. And I'm glad to be reminded that there are good, genuine, decent human beings out there. Excuse me, I'm getting another water. Oh, man. Drink 25 fluid ounces of water. Lord. All right. But yes, indeed. And thank you. I very much appreciate you. All of you folks are awesome. John, thank you for the vibe there and for giving love to the host. Appreciate that when she was on. Also, Bradley the Sloth, thank you too. I'll bring all these up for her and just tell her, like, oh man, look at everybody loved it. Liz, thank you there as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Liz, dude. Spirit Walk, thanks again for your daughters. Nice to hear such polite girls. Indeed, you know, that I was very adamant about them being polite and nice. You know, as little kids, a lot of times people don't encourage positivity, you know, with kids. They don't encourage like politeness. You know, they let people just run amok nowadays. And I don't like that. I like the fact that it's easy to teach your kid how to be nice, you know, how to be polite to people, to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. And that goes a long way in life, you know. A lot of people have lost that. Also, other things like manners, you know, like, hey, chewing with you, you know, when you sit down, having some basic table etiquette, like not chewing like a cow chewing cud. Oh, I hate that. It just grosses me out. Like the fats. How many people do you think they drive away with that nonsense? You know, my kids, I'm like, no, basic manners, you know, basic etiquette. It's not bad. And thank you. Appreciate that. Shows. Dragon's gravy. That's so funny. Thanks for the vibe. Don't forget Luthman is also accused of judge in Ohio of judicial homicide. Hey, what an idiot, man. What an idiot. But yes, indeed. Rest in big face. Thanks for 3 months. This case is truly one of a kind. Never a dull. I know. You know, when I think that I'm doing one thing in the day, by the way, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to be covering blah, blah, blah. And we're going to talk all the time about bankruptcy. What's funny is I actually thought about starting an hour off. You know, giving myself starting at 4 instead of 3, because I'm like, well, there's not that much to cover, you know, like it's not going to take 4 hours to cover everything, you know what I mean, and get super chats in. We'll go with 3, but I think, no, you know, if I finish early, whatever, you know, we'll just finish early. But I just had that in my gut. I was like, man, you need to wait, and then that ends up popping off. Hey, wasn't that crazy? I thought that was cool. Jack's Mom, thanks for the 5 there. Since they're all tied together for conspiracy, if Hales gets an auto win from paint chips, can be based on others. If it sticks, it's guilt. It wouldn't be good for them, I would say. I don't have, you know, I think the argument was made very well. But when I consider belief, though, he has allowed this shit show to get to this point. And I just, in my gut, I don't know if he has the stones to go through and to actually do what he's supposed to do. Well, if he does it, I'll be stuck because I haven't seen it yet. He's allowed, again, this clown show to overtake the court. He's allowed somebody, they've gone in and told them, do not file these kind of statements, calling somebody an alligator effort. They did it again. He's made a joke of the courtroom. And they've continually allowed it. So they've noted like process server being threatened and I mean, just absolute lunacy. And it's continuous crazy. We'll see. We'll see. What's up, Hazel Monte Engel? Thank you for the 5 giftos there. I love that little avatar. It's cute, by the way. Love it. Love it. Thank you for the 5 giftos, dude. That's awesome of you and very much appreciated. Like I said, not just for me, but it hooks up people out there, and I love that. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I meant to say, I'm glad you mentioned this here. You know, for Liz, hey, Liz, you know what? Happy for your retirement. I saw that. You know, I saw that on Facebook, and I made a note, and I forgot to. I had a little notebook thing, and that was one thing I meant to shout out today to give you some love for that. You know, that's awesome. But also, on top of that, we have this. Happy birthday! That's right. From all of us to you. Heck yeah! Happy birthday! May all your dreams come true. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. We love to have you here. Happy birthday. Here's to a million years. Yes. Enjoy your time. That is awesome, though. You know, appreciate you there. I very much do. You know? And also, Douglas, reach out to Racket yourself. He'll ignore Megan. Actually, we joke about that stuff, but I mean, Megan, they're pretty good friends. You know, he may ignore her advice, but he doesn't ignore her. You know, he just doesn't take her advice half the time when it's good advice too. You know, he's obstinate like so many of us, which is funny. Pickled Tank, thanks for the 20 there. Thank you. Hey, Tug, I am also lurking today as I'm in some serious pain. And meds don't want to work today. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm not helping it, brother, but my electric mobility scooter finally arrived this week, and I'm getting it put together. Yay. Hey, that's great. You know, when you need something, it'll help you out there. That's good news. I hate it for the other part, you know. Love to you, like I said. And I keep so many of you in my thoughts and my prayers too. And I mean that, you know, a lot of you, like I said, a lot of you, I wonder, like if I don't see you, I'm like, hey, I wonder how they're doing today. I wonder how that's going. So love to you again. And you take care of yourself. To Floofage. Hey, what's up to Floofy? Week 6 in the hospital. Love HS. Oh, man, well, you know what? You take care of yourself too. And love to you as well. You know, I constantly, I always wonder, the little ones always like, how's the Floofy? How's the Floofy? You know, so I'm glad to hear from you. And I hope things, like you said, it's getting a little bit better, a little bit better. I hope that has continued, you know. Appreciate you. So, Toriel, thank you for that super sticker, by the way. Much appreciate that. Love it. We've gotten a couple of those, and I always get to go back, like I said, and show the little one. She really loves those. She absolutely does. So thank you. Dragon's Grim, thanks for the 10 there. I have a suspicion a bar complaint was filed against Luthman in Ohio for practicing law without a license related to some case mentioned before. Made inquiry. Hoping to hear back this week. That'd be interesting. You know, it's so bizarre. When you have these, what I really hate about the bar is this, though. When they disbar somebody, they allow them, they basically are saying they're your problem now, folks. You know, and they don't do enough to really protect the public from these idiots that they were like, oh, well, they're so, they lack scruples and ethics, etc. They're so bad that we don't think they should be able to practice law, but you should have to deal with them. Pro se. Isn't that fun? Isn't that awful? Isn't that awful? Hey, Wanda. What's up, Wanda? It's good to see you. Thank you for the tune there. Hey, Tug. I'm here listening. Well, hey, I'm glad to see you here. I hope, like I said, I hope today is going good. Hope everybody out there is having, if you're not having a play, like if you're having some kind of issue, I hope that the broadcast at least makes your day a little bit better, you know, and we can get together and laugh at all this stupid and enjoy each other's company, if nothing else, you know. Give me 1 minute here. Checking on something. All right. Hey, check that out. Let's see. 1 second. Hey, Terry, thank you. Sent $25 through PayPal for the girls to go get a manicure at a nail salon. You know what? The girls actually really like getting stuff done with that. I have not taken them that often, but their grandma takes them, and their mom has been doing some more activities with them recently, so that's cool, you know, and maybe they can get back to that. Like I said, the girls absolutely loved that kind of stuff. For me, though, I'm like, well, I would take them, but I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, you know. So I did take them one time. You know, those little fish that like you can have, like that, you know, you put your feet in that little bath thing. They come and they feed on like excess skin or whatever. I did that one time, and that was so bizarre. It was such a bizarre feeling. I've never gotten into, you know, doing like manicure or pedicure or anything like that. It's to experience something like that was fun. It was really funny though with the girls, because they, you know, they had a heck of a time. Give me a second. I'm going to do a redirect. Hales has an upcoming live stream very soon. About 30 minutes. Actually, good. He's put it up too. That's great. Give me 1 second. Tonight, like I said too, the auction goes on tonight, which should be interesting to see about the tie. I really want to know about that. So let's see. That's redirect is set up. All right. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to redirect and get situated today. I appreciate all of you folks too. Oh, but I'm going to bounce off here. And like I said, thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow, I guess, Megan's channel, as far as I know, unless something comes up, but we should be there. Thank you.